else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So when we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do. Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutanu, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Friday. It's Friday. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Joe Kamanya?
I am a lot.
Okay.
I am awake. And I'm ready.
Three
for
very
the last Friday of the month.
The last Friday of the month.
Which takes us to 50 what weeks?
55.
Correct.
55 weeks since the general election.
Yes.
55 weeks to an opportunity for you to actually make your voice known and heard. Abby?
Abby.
All right.
Yes.
I am happy to see you this morning. Karibu sana.
Asante, shukran.
We're coming off of Thursday and into Friday, and indeed into the very last week of the month of June. It's the 26th, and Eve is here.
Oh, she's here?
Yes, she's.
Yeah.
And the two Barasas are also here.
Oh. Did you know it's also International Drugs Day?
For the day we can take drugs?
Today, yes.
Oh, hivi? Wamefungua mlango.
No. It's not the day for EVE to do what she's been wanting to do. No.
It's what?
International Drugs Day. It's the day when we acknowledge the harms that substances
can do to us.
Can and have done to the society.
Yeah.
So it's a call for a drug-free, clean living. That's what the day looks into. So I think a lot of activities will be happening globally.
Yeah.
Even conferences to just try and curb the pandemic. because substance abuse or drug abuse, there is use, there is misuse and abuse.
Yeah.
It keeps taking different shapes and forms because people are very creative with substances.
Yeah.
So nowadays you have a lot of new drugs, so-called. You have, it's called fentanyl, mostly in the US and Canada.
Yeah.
And then many others. Anyway, we can go on and on. You have meth, crystal meth, many others, but unfortunately the onset age keeps on going down.
It's lower and lower. We're going as low as 8 to 9 years old is when people have the first experience with drugs.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just listening to, as you're saying it, and I remember one of the first stories that I ever did as a journalist, an award-winning story, by the way, but do I say, was about the effect of drugs on young people. And I would go into, I would go into these, like, what they were like, drug dens. I mean, of course, guarded. But Joe, you need to see the stupor that folks are in. There is no reality beyond that high at the moment, and it's like a continuous high.
Yep.
And if you look at the tools that they use to inject themselves and the conditions under which they continue doing this, but this is not just somebody deciding I'm going to shoot up. And we're talking about the hard stuff here.
Yep.
It's that this is a dependence. And even as I was telling that story, and I was like, oh my God, I'm telling this story, I'm writing the story, we're filming, but what happens when I leave? What happens?
Yep.
Oh my God. And I just thought, what an existence for you to be in. So if you can advocate, if we can talk about the fact that, guess what? The people who sell the drugs don't take them.
They don't.
Nah.
They do not.
They know that.
They
know
know.
the dangers.
Yes.
They know the dangers.
They do not even want their kids to be anywhere near what they deal with. They don't even want their kids to know the businesses they're in, some of the time. So, because they know the effects. Unfortunately, it's a dark world that we rarely talk about loud enough.
We don't.
To cause the necessary impact and star change. Because addiction is real.
It is.
Addiction is real. And addiction it kills. We also keep talking about what is wrong with our country. You also need to look at the impact of addiction on our economy. It is very high. The stress, the additional stress addiction exerts on our health systems. Here, remember, we don't have emergency response services.
Nope.
So you see people dying of overdose. You see people getting seizures when they're driving because of withdrawal syndrome, and many others. So I want to congratulate today folks that are in the addiction treatment industry who are trying to cause to effect a good change.
A change.
I also do, but I don't like how we manage we have an authority. Did you know we have a national this NACADA?
Yes, there is
national
a campaign against drug abuse, which was given a bit of a lifeline, not too long ago, a few months ago, actually.
Yeah, and they get a hefty budget.
Yes, they do.
So I don't think we are doing enough awareness, because I think what I've learned is over time, the best way to deal with addiction is to effect preventive measures to delay the onset age. If people don't start using drugs at 8 and maybe they start at 20, 21, perhaps they'll make a different type of decision.
It's true, and that's why I really advocate for community centers. And hear me out, especially now that we have the surge of turf, the football turf, and I say absolutely do that. Basketball courts that people can, the preventative measures that you talk about, because an idle mind will sit around and somebody will come and offer you something, and the likelihood of you to take it is that. But how about you now? And that's why I believe in things like sports, basketball, football, and the turf that we see coming up. I don't care. Let them play football till 1 a.m. Let them leave their houses at 1 a.m. because these turfs are up and open.
24 hours.
24 hours. Let them go and play. Let them they exert themselves, they come home, they sleep. They wake up, they go to school, they go to a job, they do something. Because in the absence of that, that's a very fertile ground for this that we see.
Recruitment, like you said at the top, I think it's in Uhuru Estate, somewhere here in Eastlands. The place is well set up, 24/7, well lit. Boys can go and do, and girls do whatever they want in terms of playing games. And it helps them to avoid now the social vices. Because remember, the drugs come also with other social vices.
Yes, they do.
You have early pregnancies, teenage motherhood, people dropping out of school, there is no career development. all sorts of things change when you the way you're saying, fertile ground for these vices to prevail. But if you can create alternatives, the community centers, people can go and be expressive in art.
100%.
Yeah, mentorship that is real mentorship, not talking down on people and giving them theories that are not applicable. Mentorship, role modeling. And role modeling means I want you to follow and do what I do.
Exactly.
Not what I'm saying.
What I'm doing. And I better be doing the right thing.
Yep.
Indeed, and those are the conversations that we...
And most importantly, do not introduce kids to drugs at home. Especially...
If they see you doing it...
They will want to do it.
They will want to do it as well.
And, sometimes I see men, let me speak to fellow men, they're the ones who introduce their sons, especially, to alcohol. Because you enjoy your whiskey, your gin, whatever it is, your wine. You're like, oh, come on, boy, take a taste, take a sip. And they say, no, he's strong. He enjoys it. The kid is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Even 12.
Why? Please, you're opening a door that you will not be
able to shut.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to then for us to then be able to even start our conversations today. To be on the place where we have a consciousness that is not just political, but that it is whole. Whereby you say, this is actually the position in which we should be placing ourselves. And we say, oh, this thing is so bad. Well, there's always something that we can do about it.
Right.
And with that, we say, welcome to the Situation Room. This morning, it's Kenya's biggest conversation. So there's the weather, and it's up here.
Yes.
Then there's Dennis Aseto, and he's here.
He's under the
weather, literally. So I don't know what he ingested. It's been doing a doozy on him for the last couple of days. So this morning the thing said, nah, mimi na wewe, let's duke it out.
Yes.
So, thoughts with you, Aseto?
Correct.
Just wants to rest, not just wants to, he needs to just kind of rest it out today.
Come back in one piece.
Kabisa. And even with that, we continue with the show this morning. And I'm guessing that very many people will be happy that you're here, Joe. So as we get into the conversation, and a great way that you've been able to start that out for us today about the consciousness upon which we must stand. So let me tell you what we'll be talking about today. Boniface Mwangi, he's an activist and he is also a presidential aspirant in the next election. He'll join us at 7 o'clock today. We'll be looking over what happened yesterday, the commemoration. We see that folks were able to commemorate. We did see skirmishes here and there. People were arrested. I think the number... what was it, 345? I don't know. People were arrested because it was seen to be that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time doing the wrong thing. I don't know that we reported anything beyond that. But that's what it looks like. Were folks able to come? There was still the plea and the cry that certain things must be a certain way, cannot continue in the manner in which it has been for the longest time. So that's what yesterday was. Boniface Mwangi joins us to then be able to have that conversation at 7 o'clock. And even as we do that, we'll then go beyond that and have conversation to kind of look into what we say is absolutely necessary when it comes to social justice, when it comes to how we then must see things in the future. And the youth voice on the Gen Z protest anniversary will take us into a conversation at 8:30. Dr. Dionysius Njeri is a theologian, lawyer, and youth leader. Mary Julius is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Sophie Mugure is the National Youth League chair of the PM party. They'll join us at 8:30 and we'll look into this voice. I saw a comment yesterday and I want to be able to bring this up into the conversation later. Is that the moment for this Gen Z uprising was in 2024 and that it will never be again. I saw that written yesterday. And that was the moment that Kenya should have capitalized on. And if it didn't capitalize on that 2024 moment, all these other things that you're doing, commemoration, I don't know, remembrance, asking for a public holiday on the 25th of June every year, is not going to happen. That the opportunity was missed. And it's actually an interesting, I don't know if to call him a political analyst or a pundit, but he said, this is a waste of time. You've wasted our time. You've locked down the whole country for an entire 24 hours, whatever it is. And this thing has no bearing. That's what he said.
Well, we can respect that opinion because everyone has their own.
Yes.
But I think the person misses the mark. The protests were not just in vain. They were a call for transformative leadership of this country, that person, I would want to know how they feel about their economic status. I would want to know how they feel about the education status of our country, the health system of our country.
Because those are the issues that were being brought up.
Yes, and they remain unresolved.
Yep.
So the commemoration, in my opinion, is honoring that beginning. It was a bloody, sad, painful beginning of our economic revolution. And this happens all the time. Even the revolutions that have happened elsewhere in the world, not everybody is on board initially.
Yeah.
People keep coming on board over time.
Yeah.
And even that particular person, I am sure they have something they would want to see change from this regime.
Exactly.
So,
even if it is one thing.
Even if it is one thing.
Yep.
So allow the other person to protest on their one thing that they would want to see improve from a government that they voted for by the mere majority, you know, because whoever gets into office is the person that was voted for. So if I have my thing that I don't agree with, if my thing is education, your thing is infrastructure, the other person is security, we are saying we want a government that works for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We'll talk with Boniface at 7, and then we will talk and look into the youth perspective there then at 8:30, and that will take us through the conversations that we will have into the day. Sawa. All right. Our proverbs this week have been from Kenya, and I will try to read this in Kiswahili, and I will attempt not to butcher the language. And then thereafter, I will read it in English. And I'm just looking at Kenya as a country, that I think it's very interesting when you're able to experience your own country through the eyes of somebody who's coming from the outside. And that when I first came here, and I thought to myself, wow, the Kenya that we see on the TV and in the books that we read and all of this is very different from what is the reality. And then I thought to myself that we as Africans really must tell our own stories, because a lot of the stuff that we see on the TV or in books outside that we saw at that time were through the eyes of non-Kenyans who were putting it on TV. But you know what? If you hear or read about America, it's written by Americans.
Yes. And
so I think Kenya is it's look, you guys have a good thing going.
We do.
It's good to preserve it. And that's all I'll say as I tell you what the proverb is from this morning.
All right.
Mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame. How badly did I do?
No, you did well.
Yeah?
You did well, yes. So we can live with that.
You can live with that?
We Kenyans can live with that.
Mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame. Meaning, whoever wants something under the bed must bend down. How would you interpret that?
Like, if you want a good government that works for you, you must come out and vote for that good government.
Yes.
You must participate in that discourse.
Yes.
Basically, the interpretation calls for you putting in the work, getting involved, you know, and putting in the work, getting involved, doing what will give you the results that you want.
Yeah.
Because whatever you want to have in life, basically, not just in politics and leadership, but generally in life, if you want good food, organic food, you need to grow it. Right.
Like peanuts.
Like peanuts. EVE. You hear that? Like peanuts. You know? If you want to make a good meal, you need to take time and prepare. Have time in the kitchen, not the quick touch and go thing. So it talks about the process, putting in the work, putting in the hard work, persevering, and being very analytical in everything you do, because everything you do is consequential. It has consequences. There's always an outcome. Yes. So mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame means like you need to do the work. Do it yourself. Put in the work, considerations, analysis, elimination.
Yeah. Do the work.
Do the work.
You're not going to get the result that you seek if you're not going to put something into it.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. I like that. I like that. as a proverb. And let's then take this opportunity to say hello to everybody. Thank you for tuning in, our audience on KTN. And it's just nice to see, the different faces every day, different voices contributing to this conversation that we have. Even when you guys are out taking a jab at one another, that's okay too. Yeah. So long as we keep it kosher, guys. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and wherever you're tuned in from around the country, the region, and the world. This is the Situation Room. So karibuni sana into this conversation that we have this morning. So let's take a moment to then be able to welcome you and then hear where it is that y'all are tuned in from on this second Friday of the week. A very good morning to you. Peter Kiari says, good morning from Mombasa. Everyone has a million problems until they lose their health. Then they have only one. Health is the real luxury. Stay grateful. That's the real luxury.
It is.
Yep. Okay. So definitely into that. Leban Mataraki says, good morning, good people. Nifurahi Day, tuned in kabisa. Tibbs Muge says, good morning, SpiceFM team. Good morning to you. Bwangi Juma says, good morning, SpiceFM. How are you all this blessed Friday? We thank God for yesterday's remembrance for our 2024 June fallen comrades. Yes, indeed, that they be remembered. Even those who didn't even know that they were comrades, but got caught up in this, But yeah, we thank God for them. Clement Ochola says, good morning from Malindi, Kwachocha. Someone was arrested yesterday in the vehicle because there was a Kenyan flag in it. Yeah, I saw that. They were riding the vehicle and there was a Kenyan flag in their car. And then they got arrested. I was wondering, that means even you yesterday now, you're wearing the Kenyan flag around your neck. You could have been arrested.
Oh, come on. Give us a break.
That's a guy. That guy didn't get a break.
They should give him a break.
They should give him a break for crying out loud.
Yeah. We are only patriotic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bernardo Gamba says, it was the best demo ever. We didn't lose property or people. Kudos to opposition for standing in solidarity. However, the conspicuous absence of Matiang'i portrayed him as a joke. Okay. Leo says, hello, Princess Nduh, Aseto, and Joe. In a war between Katiba media versus a politician, the former comes on top always. Which one is the former? The Katiba. Okay. Right. It happened pre-2022 election. State won and keeping Kenyans away from work. Alex Gyoko says, good morning, Nduh. There's no H. And the entire Spice team family, Kitali 026 to Korada. Okay. I figured out finally that this thing that people say rada is actually radar. Like you're on the radar. Like we have where are you on the thing? It's actually a colloquial representation of the word radar. Like if somebody's on your radar, they're on point, they're in your you're connected.
Yes, it is.
I did not know this until later on when I put on my language hat and I thought to myself, this thing that even my son now says to me and looks at me and says, hey, and I'm like, first of all, what? Then I realized this is actually what it is.
Yeah, and it has also different connotations. Like rada, it could be like
what's up?
But Pia, if you're stepping on someone's toes or you're doing something, someone can say Nikoradak, like I'm watching you.
Yeah. So well, I figured that out. So that was a fun realization for me. Well, rather to you too, man. Brian Otieno says, good morning. We can't see your beautiful face. Which one?
That was before. Now they can see you.
See, now that's a blush action this morning. Very good morning to you, Brian. Kimiak. The gallery of lies has rattled the chief con in ways I haven't seen before. He is inside Twitter heckling one. Let it be known that nothing good will come out of the Kenya Climate Administration.
That's a gospel truth, eh?
What? Kimiak, good morning. Hope you're well. Finally, we see your face, Kimiak. Faith Sander says, Allah, good morning. Muko wapi? Hamuko visible? Anyway, Faith Sander, Sander is also a Nigerian name, and one of my favorite people on earth is a Sander in Nigeria. So Faith, when I see that name, I just get, I feel very happy. Good morning to you. Christina, good morning. Tomorrow marks my second anniversary at Team Spice. Yeah! I was never a fan of radio, nor politically conscious till 2024. I've learnt the hardest parts of civics here from the likes of Muluka, PLO, etc. Christina, we've got to say that we're very happy that you join us every morning, that there's learning for all of us to take place.
Indeed.
There is, advice to heed. There is engagement to be involved in, that we can all be part of a conversation that changes a thought. Because you know what we say? A thought leads on to a word, leads on to an action to change.
Yes.
So if we can be thinking about how these things affect us, this is a good thing.
It is. And whatever you learn, teach
to somebody else.
Pass it on.
Absolutely.
Pass it on.
Absolutely. So, Christina, congratulations and thank you for being here every day. Drift Session says, good morning, Kenya. A government so afraid of its own youth, it self-sabotages. And they kind of shut things down yesterday, didn't they? D Combo says, now daughters are more alcoholic than sons. Wanakunywa kukunywa sana. Sindio, it's true. That is a reality in a lot of spaces for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That the dependency now on drugs is, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I still don't know why they separate drugs and alcohol, because to an extent, alcohol has become a drug for a lot of people.
Why.
Yeah.
They were called boot what?
Specify now.
Yeah.
I was going to say something, but then I realized it's 6:33.
The alcohol industry.
Bootleg.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Bootleggers. Remember, production of alcohol was highly criminalized in the Western world for a long time. Because, as you know, it was luxurious, had big margins, and only a few people were allowed to break the law and produce alcohol.
Yeah.
So as the industry grew, they needed to protect their interests. What did they do? They came up with standards of a drink that can be vended or sold openly. And that's how legalization of alcohol came about. And also, they needed to criminalize people who are the moonshiners. Moonshiners, they call those who make changa, the local brews. Yeah. They needed to be criminalized because they would make this gin that is like 80%, 70% alcohol. Yeah. So it was eating into their profit.
Sure.
So they legalized some aspect.
And criminalized others.
The rest. Then alcohol, remember, even those who are believers of the Bible, there are connotations of wine, Jesus turning water into wine. So it's something that is not so bad, socially acceptable. Now, legally, it is legal to vend alcohol. But the other substances that are mainly not grown in countries where this legalization started of alcohol, like you don't have opiates growing in the Western world.
Yeah.
You have to import them from the East or the Far East. The other substances do not grow very well, but they are very high value in terms of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very high value cash crops. They needed to be criminalized because countries like Colombia today would be a first world country
if they grew on their
cash crop.
Yeah.
So the criminalization of drugs is not on the effect. It is not based on any scientific effect on the society, because alcohol has more effect. Alcohol is widely abused than all the other very strong drugs, which I agree.
The criminal component comes from the fact that there was commercial devaluing for some people.
Correct.
You see what we're talking about?
So there's more.
There's a lot more than meets the eye.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes. There's a reason why Afghanistan cannot be peaceful.
That's very true. There's a reason why today Libya cannot either.
Yes.
Are we going to get into that? Well, let's see. Let's say really quickly to people this morning. Eric Nganga says, good morning. A big round of applause to the bold standard, keeping round of applause, keeping injecting nothing but the truth. Eric Awar, a very good morning to you. We see you, Karibu Sana. And Cliff Sunday says, may we continue with the 8th day coverage of bad governance? Good morning from the Malaba border. Good morning to you, G. And Kennedy Njanja says, good morning, listening live from Al Quds, Dubai. Paris Mudhoni says, good morning, Team Spice. Wishing you a peaceful day ahead. Mutuflani, good morning to the princess and the Duke of Scarf and the squad. The Duke of Scarf, good morning.
Good morning.
Did you see cops on borders letting out shots? Is that the Goon Regiment? That's a question. For sure.
It's a new law, eh?
It's a new law. It's a new law. Jennifer Atenyi says, good morning, Nduh Joe. Aseto, prayers up, of course, for Aseto this morning. And we see you. Good morning to you. What did you ask? You said the government has lost touch with reality. May God help us. Margaret Wancho, he said, protests and revolutions are never in vain. They're never in vain. Ras Kodor says, happy Friday, my team. It seems the standard injection has not sunk well with most Kenyans. Kindly make a full documentary then. Even more? Ooh-wee. Okay. Well, there's more to tell, isn't there? Clement Yotune from Malindi, a very good job to you. A very good morning to you. And James Karaoke says, good morning, Team Spice. Great weekend ahead, and to you too. Paris Mudhoni, have a peaceful day ahead. And Nancy Abura is also tuned in this morning from Mirema. Nawapenda sana, tunakupenda sana pia. It's a crime is it a crime having a Kenyan flag? Well, it would appear so. If you can be arrested because that, where hii bendera unapeleka wapi, ebu shuka gari. Yeah, I guess. Good morning, Team Spices. David Mangera. Eric Ngang is also tuned in. Goons Pro Max on Border. That's what we saw. Dan Bio says, good morning. Listening in today after being roughed up yesterday, but we soldier on. Good morning to you. Kamau. Robert Mbogo is tuning in this morning from Mombasa. Andrew Chira also said, a physically challenged person. I mean, humanity tenda wapi. Sina Chakusema. Good morning from Vancouver. And everybody getting into the room. Hype says, good morning. Just Nature says, bonjour guys. Africans are performing well in the World Cup. Kasongo is rattled. Welcome to the weekend. Yeah. Moss Lifestyle says, good morning. Hey, thank you very much. I don't know if I want to read this. Did I change Kenya Media? I don't know if I did. Maybe contributing to it. Asante sana. But those are kind words, most files. Good morning to you. Thomas Osoro says, good morning. Kudos to the bold newspaper for hitting the reality. Antonina Kehika says, I just got to learn about SpiceFM last year after June 25th, after being aggrieved by those who didn't amplify the day, and boom. The best realization ever. 1 year later, happy to be here every morning. Antonina Karibu Sana. Thank you every day for tuning in. Pixter Mora says, as a young person, I never thought I'd ever witness the old orchestrating the killing of the young, and our elders trying to sanitize it as normal. What a shame. And justice for our heroes. It's Kenny says, good morning, Spice FM. Good morning to you. I think that yesterday's event went the way we wanted it to go. Finally, we could say checkmate to the government. What they wanted did not happen. It's interesting. It seems as though the sentiment for a lot of people is that what they wanted was for people to be injured. Yikes. Can't be a good thing. But thank you for us to continue having these conversations. I want to take a quick break and look at what's happening in the skies and on the roads, and then we'll come back and see what's going on in the headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
A bit of a cloudy morning in Nairobi. It's 13 degrees, and it's 13 and mostly sunny in Nakuru, and 13 and cloudy into Njeri. 20 and clear skies in Kisumu, and at 17 it is sunny in Kakamega. 22 into Mombasa, and 25 and partly sunny in Malindi. 17 and sunny conditions into Marsabit. 18 and clear in Kampala, while at 21 it's mostly sunny into Dar es Salaam. It's 8 degrees and mostly clear in Johannesburg, while at 25 it's clear into Lagos, and 24 and cloudy in London. 31 and mostly cloudy looking into Beijing, and Thursday night in New York is cloudy at 22. Coming into Friday, we'll see a high of 27 and a low of 21.
Chilled Spice.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
All right, where are you this morning? Typically Friday morning doesn't see too much happening on the roads, but there is some traffic, and it's getting on from Landis Road through towards Haile Selassie, right around Wakolima. That's very busy. It's Friday the day when a lot more wares are dumped, rather brought to the market beyond any other day, because that's what you're seeing, folks. It's the market and all the hustle and bustle that's causing that traffic there. At the Pangani underpass, as you get towards Maranga Road, there's also some traffic. It's busy. Also coming off of the Thika Superhighway right around Survey, busy there as well. Not too much clicking right around James Gishuru. We'll see what happens as we get into traffic hour, but for now it's looking pretty good around most parts of the city. How about we talk and keep things moving this Friday morning? Spice FM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Oxide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide, inside from Chloride Oxide.
Turn
Turn up the heat with endless entertainment on Star Times. Feel every moment of the action as the biggest leagues reach their thrilling finales. Recharge your monthly subscription to unlock a world of endless drama to enjoy Novella E, now available on your Nyota bouquet. Dive into blockbuster movies with the launch of TNT, your new home of big screen hits. And for the little ones, a world of non-stop fun on Cartoon Network, now on Star Times. News, sports, drama, movies, kids, and reality all in one place. All for you. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a Star Times decoder at any of our deal shops countrywide. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you at about 6:45 for us to look into the headlines and see what those stories are. The stories that are coming out and things that have happened and perhaps what will shape opinions. We're going to start off, guess where? On the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. And I just want to take a quick one to say thank you to guys for what you're saying about how you learn certain things, you get certain insights, and then you take that and you pass it on to the next person. I'm just seeing that what you say, you normally start work at 10, but you wake up early to listen to the show. Then take that and you speak to the next person about things that you've learned or that you've understood, and that's it. We're all in a learning process, but that we can take it and move. If it's one person, Joe, it's even one person, that's a victory.
And we'll come back tomorrow.
Absolutely, and do it again.
There's a reason to do it again.
Total lockdown is what is on the front page of The Standard. The Gen Z second anniversary. The spectacle that played out yesterday during the second anniversary of Gen Z's fatal protest of 2024 portrayed a government scared of its own people. Despite government officials led by Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen promising a normal working day on the eve of the commemoration, the nation woke up to the blockades on all roads leading to the capital city and major towns. The police, as has been the case, became a tool of suppression instead of providing security. They sealed roads, harassed and brutalized innocent Kenyans whose crime was to mark the day that Kenyans said enough was enough to a government that is tone deaf. This is covered on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 of The Standard this morning. And there's the Gen Z anniversary in pictures of the different things that were happening around the country. There were empty streets. It was like it was a public holiday, and they said yes, we're giving it. That's exactly what it was. And so we failed to reconcile between what was going to be a normal day because children went to school, banks were open, but then businesses had closed. Guess what? It is not banks and schools that run an economy.
Nope.
Businesses run an economy. None of them opened yesterday.
Correct.
People shut down this because we do not know what is going to happen. The do not know what is going to happen is usually as a result of violence that is meted. And then people say, well, okay. Or the criminal elements that would then be injected into a protest or a commemoration. So these are the headlines that we're looking at this morning. Uneasy calm, shut shops across counties as nation mourns protest victims. We covered it yesterday, from Nairobi to Nakuru to Mombasa to Narok to Njeri to Kisumu. I mean, everybody said we're gonna sit this one out. And so for me, the oxymoron was, it's going to be a normal day, then there should have been no roadblocks. There should have been no sealed roads. It's going to be a normal day, then everybody goes around business as usual. But can you do the two things and operate in the same space? That essentially, it was the government and security agencies that locked the country down. That is what happened yesterday.
Right.
There were people who were out to commemorate. We saw this happening. Police officers even took a nap in Kisumu. There's a picture there, fun one. As calm prevailed during the anniversary commemorations. You know, they took a nap in the grass. Everybody wants to do that on a Thursday afternoon, don't they? There's a picture there of Siaya Governor James Orengo is whisked away by his aides after police dispersed demonstrators in Nairobi. He was on a border yesterday. And those are the roadblocks. There were people who were coming in on buses, coming in from Mombasa Road, from Kibwezi and even further on, who were not allowed to get in. Murkomen's normal day meets Nairobi roadblocks. Split opposition as some leaders keep off streets during the protests. There was this commemoration was there were the expectation that everybody was going to come out and commemorate that day 2 years ago. If that didn't happen, then expectations or hopes were dashed. There's some people notables that you didn't see.
Right.
There's a story here that's done by the Standard team. Leaders dancing on Gen Z graves with an eye on 2027 and beyond. Those who are saying, as a result of the broad-based government, now those other things that you people are talking about really don't matter. Get a copy of the Standard and look at the leaders that we're talking about.
Please do.
Reese barriers mark protest anniversary, and we saw that Parliament was cordoned off. The house that fell now hides behind razor wire. And then on page 9, Ruto attacks on Standard stir more backlash. President William Ruto has drawn criticism from the political class, human rights groups, and ordinary Kenyans after he continued his attacks on the Standard. Yesterday, the president took to social media at 8:31 a.m., a day after another post that, without evidence, claimed that the media house was engaged in blackmail. Okay. There might be something else today. We'll just wait and see. There's a group of people. There's not a group. There are two people. A pair is two.
Yes.
They're earning 6 million shillings to watch all 104 football matches. God, I don't understand. Why? When these things are happening, why don't they count Nduh and say, please, even me, I want? Besides watching every match, they're responsible for creating content for fans. They term experience enjoyable but exhausting due to long hours and constant football. The World Cup is ramping up with 6 matches scheduled each day until the end of the group stage, which makes tuning in something a full-time job. That is literally the case for Kevin Okoh and Austin Franklin, who are getting paid $50,000 to watch each of all the 104 World Cup matches. The BBC caught up with the two football fans just over a week into their role as Fox One chief World Cup watchers to see what the experience has been like. You want to see what that story has to say, but they're earning the money. Whether they have other jobs or not, or whatever else they're doing, you have to get into that. Parliament summoned CS Wahome as housing projects stall nationwide. I should summon her. I'm sorry, but in this case, is it her? Is she the one who is handling the housing projects, these affordable housing? Is it the same one?
Yeah. But she's the head of the ministry.
Yeah, but
you
she's not the one
when the building
the
collapsed in was it South C Eastleigh? Yes, she came out to defend.
She did. No, she also came out and said that people will be, and we actually saw that last month people were charged.
Yes, so she's the same way we talk about the CS education when things are not going right in the education sector. Let her come and answer. We'll be listening.
Housing project
but she defends it.
Okay, so
she's in charge of the implementation.
Court has been busy. The court came out and said, excuse me, Dr. Sador, sit over there. Okio Mtata, leta kesi, tunaenda trial. This thing that we're talking about making President William Ruto's administration has suffered a setback after the High Court declined to strike out a petition challenging the legality of Kenya's 7 trillion shilling budget, or rather public debt, clearing the way for a full hearing. So Okiya Mtata went to court and he petitioned and he said, AG, all of you, there's a problem here. Kenya's debt is not this amount. This money that was borrowed, iko wapi, number 1, imetoka wapi, number 2, now it's what is it for, number 3. So they've been back and forth. Do you have a case to answer? Do you have a case to answer? Court says yes. Dr. Sador, stand over here in the corner. We're going to trial. We're going to find out if this debt that we're talking about is actually odious.
That's interesting to watch,
isn't it?
Yes, so we should know how much we owe.
Yes,
and to whom.
Yes. So looking into the opinion pages, of course, bouquets on razor wire in Parliament is a paean to youth remembrance. Get yourself a copy of The Standard. Get a copy of The Standard. If you can't get one in your hand, get a copy of Standard e-paper, standardmedia.co.ke. Sawa. Want to look into The Nation, sir?
Yebo. Daily Nation front page is still talking about the same thing. Second anniversary, families of 2024 Gen Z protest victims lay wreaths outside Parliament. Lockdown, there was total blockade. court order. The barricades outraged Kenyans whose daily activities were disrupted amid protests that authorities had defied a court order barring police from erecting cordons to restrict access to the city center without prior public notice. It's interesting because everybody was saying, you come up, it's going to be a normal day. But people woke up and they found the police protesting. So that's the story for the call for justice and easy calm. Most parts of the country remained relatively peaceful, including regions that have in the past been hotspots of violence. But tension was palpable amid a heavy police presence, shuttered businesses, and paralyzed public transport. What I'm grateful for is there was no loss of life. So the story continues, a lot of captured moments, people marching, people showing up, families, friends, politicians. That continues all the way to page... There's an interesting story here, a quick one, short one. On the Daily Nation. Why is it? It has disappeared.
Okay.
Yes. This would be page 2. He says, the women who carry Homa Bay's water crisis on their backs. Who's the governor for Homa Bay?
Gladys Wanga.
I'm glad that she's also a woman. Women wash clothes and household items on the shores of Lake Victoria in Homa Bay on Monday last week. Persistent water shortages force families to depend on untreated lake water for their daily needs, increasing the risk of recurrent waterborne disease outbreaks. It's a very sad image.
It is.
This day and age.
So there's water, there's laundry that's taking place at the shores of the lake.
Correct.
That water goes, that dirty water goes back into the lake. They rinse, they wash, they do whatever, it goes back. And it comes back and goes back and comes back. Because the likelihood that they did that on a Tuesday and they're never going to do it again is slim to none.
No, that's it's
every day.
Yes. And they still take some of that water back home for household use. This day and age. And you are saying this is what you want these women to continue experiencing for the next 5 years. Never. So next to that, in the DN2, it says the hidden apartheid legacy inside the gender roots of Afrophobic attacks in South Africa. There is an African story to be told about what is happening in South Africa. Someday we should talk about it, because the divide and rule to conquer continues to play in different shapes and forms.
And it was not an African concept.
It was not.
No.
It was not. But we seem to have delved into it so much. It is our way of life now, but to our own detriment. Yes, there are changes we need to do. There are things we need to effect individually as countries. So South Africa, to an extent, they are right. To another extent, we need to talk about it some more.
Yes.
That and more stories. Find yourself a copy and be informed.
The Star today, the picture tells 1,000 words, because on one side where there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 police officers holding down 2 men on the right side, and on the left side is a picture of His Excellency the President, touring, inspecting the construction of the Bomas International Convention Complex. Those two things were happening side by side.
Right.
Security checkpoints on key highways, razor wire rolled out around Parliament. That's what was happening yesterday. So there's an international Bomas something that's being built. They said it's going to finish soon.
I hope they're not going to build that car park in the
national park. That's what they want to do.
No, we hope not.
Well, they arrested Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga and others who were protesting against this very thing. It's interesting that the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife is actually supposed to protect the country's wildlife and all of these things. The national parks fall under wildlife protection.
Yes, they do.
The individual now who's going to run the machinery of this of this tourism and wildlife ministry is the most immediate former PS from Education, Julius Bitok. So your guess is as good as mine. As to, how that's going to go. But it would be great to see that he actually comes in and says, excuse me, this cannot happen. You want to build your Bomas car park? Go do it over there. You're not going to be doing it over here in the national park. One would assume that would be, the thing that he would do.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we're going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Furious mother gives birth outside the hospital. Now, me, I have given birth. All right?
All right.
Outside the hospital,
You
usually.
have given birth
No.
outside the hospital.
I've put a period.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
Space. Continue the sentence.
Right.
Outside this hospital, outside any hospital, it's not a ghost town. It's not like the way Nairobi was yesterday.
Yes.
There are people. They're milling around. There is action. There is an ambulance or two. There is something happening. Even if it is in the village dispensary, there is something happening.
Yes.
So giving birth is not something that you sneeze at you. It comes. No, it doesn't happen like
And it's
that.
not a silent affair.
No.
Okay.
It is not. At least for most. By the time she arrived here, is it that people stood and were now looking at her and they said, no, she has not paid. I don't understand that nobody saw it fit to assist this woman to be delivered of her baby as she was outside this hospital. Note the things that I started with this story. Busy scene.
Yeah.
Usually at an emergency, there are people, hospital staff, whether they are milling around or sitting down having a cup of tea.
Yep.
Somebody is in that area. What kind of debasing of value do we have that you will watch a situation like that panning out and then you don't help? Okay, let's just even assume that it happened very quickly. Oh yeah, now, why were you not helping her in the middle of it?
Hey.
Exactly. So people are angry. Why are you angry? What do you expect? What are you angry about? She gave birth outside the hospital because of what? And this was the Hola County Referral Hospital. Hundreds of women from Tana River staged a protest outside the hospital. They said they were marching, carrying twigs and chanting traditional songs. They're accusing health workers of neglecting pregnant women and blamed poor services for maternal deaths reported in recent years. The protest was triggered by an incident on Tuesday in which an expectant mother reportedly gave birth outside the hospital after allegedly being turned away despite experiencing severe labor pains. You see what I'm saying? It should not have happened. And they said, now, it is regrettable. It's not regrettable. It's criminal.
It is.
Don't do something like that. And this is in the country where they told you that what is working?
Shut up.
Yeah. We're laughing about it because sometimes, how many tears will you cry? You talked about in this day and age, people are washing water in a river, in a lake. In this day and age, people can be outside the hospital, at the mouth of a hospital, and be turned away and then delivered of their babies outside the hospital, nobody helping.
So
that happened in
Kenya. How much
Kenya.
neglect is happening inside the hospitals?
It's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Sheila Tembor. A total of 355 people arrested during yesterday's demonstrations commemorating the June 2024 youth-led anti-tax protest are expected to be arraigned in court today. Speaking in Nairobi, Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen said the suspects were arrested in Nairobi, Kiambu and Kajiado counties for allegedly engaging in criminal activities and violating laws governing public demonstrations. Murkomen also said that unlike previous protests, no deaths were recorded during yesterday's demonstrations.
This is a developing case. It could be more than the 355. Nairobi County accounted for the highest number of arrests, which is 161, followed by Kajiado, 123, and Kiambu, 36. Other arrests were reported in Murang'a, 12, Bungoma, 9, Meru, 6, Laikipia, 5, and Machakos, 3, while no arrests were reported from Northeastern, Nyanza, and Coast regions.
He also commended police officers for maintaining law and order, saying most parts of the country remain peaceful and residents were able to go about their daily activities despite the protest. In other news, Suba South MP Karoli Omondi has been suspended from the National Assembly for 5 sitting days over the use of unparliamentary language during debate on the Wealth Fund Bill. Temporary Speaker Peter Kaluma issued a suspension after Omondi challenged the lack of quorum in the House and was accused of telling the chair to stop being stupid.
Honorable Speaker, it's very unfair. We sit here for 4 hours waiting to debate this, and then you want to take it away from us. Honorable Speaker, I rise up under Standing Order number 35 and draw your attention to the fact that there is no quorum in the House. It's not being stupid. You must respect us. There is no quorum in the House.
Omondi denied directing the remarks at the Speaker, insisting he had said we are not stupid and called for the Hansard to be reviewed. His remarks immediately drew protest from members, with Matuga MP Kasim Tandaza accusing him of using derogatory language against his colleagues.
Honorable Speaker, is the honorable member, because I don't want to use some derogatory language, to call honorable members the term that he has actually used. I'm even afraid of using it against just mentioning that we are stupid. Is that what you said? And you are proud of that? You want your electorates to know that you are calling your fellow colleagues stupid? And you are also in this house, honorable member?
The Honorable Karoli Omondi, did you use the words stop being stupid in reference to members?
Mr. Speaker, I said I rise under Standing Order number 35 to draw your attention to the fact that there's no quorum in the House.
No, that is fine.
And I said you have to respect us. We are not stupid. That's what I said. Get the Hansard. Get the Hansard. Get the Hansard. And yes, that's what I said.
Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah also called for the official record to be reviewed, maintaining that Omondi had indeed directed the remarks at the Speaker.
Karoli Omondi is right in his place to say there is no quorum. If he feels there is no quorum, he can draw your attention to that. But further to that, he said stop being stupid. And Honorable Speaker, I would beseech you to direct that we check the Hansard. And if Karoli Omondi indeed did utter those words, because from where I'm seated, I heard him. The Honorable Kasim Tandaza heard him from where he is. If he did not hear himself, or if he's not, it is 12 minutes to 9 p.m., Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Karoli Omondi may not have the capacity at this hour to know what he has said. We must confirm from the Hansard. If he has said those, I will be seeking, and I will be the one moving the motion to name the Honorable Karoli Omondi, because we must conduct business in the House with the dignity that it deserves. If any member has no dignity for himself, we have dignity ourselves. Nobody, no member of this House is stupid.
However, after consulting the official record, Kaluma ruled that the MP had used the disputed phrase and he refused to apologize and invoked Standing Order 107A on gross disorderly conduct to suspend him for the minimum 5 sitting days.
I will, this being the first time I'm meting out this punishment, suspend you from the House for a period of 5 days. I'll give you the minimum 5 days so that it is a caution to all of us. Honorable Karoli, you're accordingly ordered to exit the precincts and you'll be out of the service of the House for 5 days, and I'll undo so immediately.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje, kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 8 minutes after 7 o'clock, and a very good morning to you. It's Friday, and that doesn't stop us from having the conversations that we do, getting into the last bit of the month of June. Yesterday was the 25th of June, and that marked the second year of the Gen Z protest. I just looked at some of these pictures from years ago, and I don't think that there's been a time whereby so many Kenyans were in the streets at one time for one thing, for one cause. There's never been a time when it's been recorded like that. And also in the same breath, there's never been a time where so many died on the same day who were after this one cause. It's around that conversation that we will be today. And even that, I just want to let us know today that there's a battery that essentially will power your life. You think it'll just power your car. It'll also power your life, literally. Chloride Exide is saying to you today that whatever it is that you're looking for, you're trying to get your car to do the things that it should operate at an optimal level, Chloride Exide is that battery that you need to get. And I'm going to start from the end of things today, and then we're going to let you know what it's going to do. That you can actually pick up the phone and dial a battery, and somebody will bring it to you, and you don't have to worry about getting all the way to where you need to go. There's going to give you certain signals every now and then, and it's going to know that it's time for you to get a new one, and they'll be able to bring it to your doorstep. So you really don't have to worry about that. So now I've already told you the how you can get the battery. I'll come back later and tell you about the what it is that it's going to do for you and some of the things that you don't have to worry about once you do have that Chloride Exide battery powering your life as you get from point A to point B with chloride. Sawa sawa.
Sawa sawa.
All right. Boniface Mungai is here with us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, and how are you doing?
Sijalala enough.
How many hours?
Maybe 4.
Maybe, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about some of these things today. Presidential aspirant, as well as, active citizen and concerned citizen about the things that happen in the country. I mean, that's not, that doesn't ever come into doubt. Well, before we get into the conversation, our proverbs this week, Bonnie, come from Kenya. And I've been looking at different parts of the country and the proverbs that they've shared. This one is a one that is in Swahili. And according to Joe, I did not butcher the Kiswahili before. So I'm going to try again. Mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame. Mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame. Are you laughing at my Kiswahili?
No, your accent is not bad. Yeah.
Whoever wants something under the bed must bend down. Whoever wants something under the bed must bend down.
So basically, there's nothing that is worth getting that doesn't require an effort. So for you to get anything you want, you must put some effort in it, and then you get it. So basically, it's like if you're looking for change, you must fight for it because it will be served to you on a silver platter.
There you go.
Yeah, boy.
You won't get it easy. So yesterday marked the second year of the Gen Z 2024 protests. And oftentimes, I think we lose direction. And I say we because there's so many thoughts that come in. But the truth of the matter is that the issues that were raised that brought hundreds of thousands of people into the streets were issues on the economy. There were issues on infrastructure. There were issues on governance and accountability. There were issues on good governance. But it was whittled down to young people misbehaving in the streets. And 65 of these people died at the hands of violence, however you want to look at it. And so 2 years later, to commemorate that, people wanted to come and lay wreaths and flowers at Parliament and say, this is where people died. But the ghosts of that protest still linger, and that people are still saying these issues still. With the commemoration that happened yesterday, even before we get to the ghost towns and all of that, with the commemoration that happened yesterday, has it put to bed these issues?
No, the issues are actually very, very key at the moment. If you look at the current finance bill, it was passed by 122 members of parliament, and 189 boycotted going to parliament. So basically, even the current leadership is scared of what will come after this year's budget, which means that the anger that began 2 years ago is still there, and basically translates to a scared government. So the streets were shut down. I mean, we were coming to work really early in the morning yesterday, and we were already met by the roadblocks at that hour. And prior to that, it was clear from all, announcements that it was going to be a normal day. There was no public holiday that was going to be granted. Schools were going to be open, banks were going to be open. Nothing else was open. Ghost towns, wherever you looked. So the government spoke tough, but they knew through the intelligence, they knew that there was not going to be any business going on in the country. So basically, there's, I think Kenyans themselves have told themselves that June 25th is a national holiday. So they know it. And they also know that every time there's June 25th comes around, like last year, the police just deploy to ensure that people don't march, because people who were in the streets on June 25th 2 years ago still want to go back to parliament to remember those that they lost. So there's it's the government speaking tough, but at the same time knowing that no matter what they do, this day will be commemorated forever.
Wow. And first of all, we still remember loudly what transpired June 24th. A lot of people have different kind of opinions. Some say it was just an event and it came and went. But also others believe that was the beginning of a revolution that is going to transform this country to the country that we all desire. And like the proverb goes, we must put in the work.
Yes.
If we do not keep reminding ourselves of the evils and the wrongs that we want to end, chances are they'll continue to prevail. Now, so they have the desires of the people, and then on the other hand, we have the constitution that guides us on how we need to manage our country.
Yes.
And from that constitution, we have created a government. Because the government is not supreme. It is there to serve us. Now, they spoke tough, as you rightly put it. And they say it's going to be a normal day. So people prepare to go to work, as you normally do. Only to wake up and realize the police showed up for protest. They decided to protest before the people. But you see the oxymoron of it.
Yes.
So it begs for the question, like, moving forward, because Sabasaba is coming.
Yes.
And we still have 2027 coming up. The people are organizing and saying, we are ready to reject anything that does not serve our interest. We are ready to reject anything that is resources that are deployed against our interest.
Yes.
That's why people call for austerity measures.
Yes.
Do you think those in office are hearing? Do you think they're feeling the pain? And do you feel the Kenyans are fully now united with a common interest of transforming this nation?
So the people in power are not feeling the pain of the Kenyan people, because if they felt, they would actually communicate as much. They enjoy the pleasures of our taxes, because austerity measures are for poor people and people paying taxes, but our government does not care about reducing salaries for the presidency, the executive, members of parliament. Even the parks are still there. They're the same guys who are going to travel to Mombasa on a first-class ticket, which is an hour flight, and pay so much money.
Right.
But the question about unity is a big concern for me, even as a presidential candidate and as a Kenyan, because there's a lot of dog whistling in our politics at the moment. There's a lot of tribalism. There's a lot of where our leaders are trying to take us back into tribal cocoons. So 2 years ago, there was a movement in this country that was tribeless, partyless, and leaderless. And now the politicians are saying, no, you have leaders. Kikuyus have that, Luos have that, there's this particular person is your leader. So there's them forcing issues on us, saying that they need to define how young people do their politics. Now, if young people can be able to override those kind of negative politics or ethnicity politics, then there will be unity to transform this country. But if we fall into the trap of tribalism, then Kenya is not going to be saved in the next 1 year in the coming election. So right now, politicians are going to what they know best. They know tribalism, they know violence, they know intimidation, and they know lying. That's where we are at. That's why you guys have been doing a season of lies, because it's going to be lies everywhere. Now, can young people see through that and vote for who is in their best interest, who's going to fight for them? That has to come. So basically, I think we're going to go back to like basic civic education. Is that there's no community that is born with a leader or a king. When you choose your leader, you're not choosing a king, and you're not choosing someone to represent your entire community. You're choosing someone who represents the best interest for you as an individual, not for you as a community. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you something, Bonnie, and I think it's time we put this thing to rest once and for all, and essentially put it to bed, because the issues of, you were in the street yesterday. You were there in 2024. You've been there, and I remember. The first time I came into contact with the work that you took pictures around 2007, the massacre that happened, and some of the pictures that you took remain. I think I have a collection of some of those pictures, and to kind of remind people about how we should never go there again. But you've been accused over and over, and this is not news to you, of being a commercial activist.
Yes,
and those accusations, even as late as yesterday, are there. Like I said, let's put it to bed once and for all.
Yes.
Are you a commercial activist?
What is a commercial activist?
I don't know.
Let's unpack. What is a commercial activist? Explain. Is it like
somebody who goes out in the streets because somebody is putting some money behind that activity to ensure that you rile up, number one, emotions. You make the government of the day look a certain way. You may not need to do that too much without help. But that there's money in your pocket to be out in the streets to dodge injury in one way or another, to make it look as though you're concerned about these issues, but you're on the take.
All right, it's first laughable, but I'll make an attempt to engage you on this particular issue. So I've been doing this for about maybe 20 years, half of my life, fighting for this country, and no one pays me. And if the government knew I was getting paid, they'll tell you who pays me. I think one of the things that the government has been able to do very well is tag those people who do the work we do as commercial activists. I don't think activism is a job. It's a calling. So I normally have a job. I sell land. I'm a photographer. I run a studio in Nairobi. Like, I do many things that help me earn a living. But I do not do this for money. I think if I was doing this for money, I would have sold my soul to the devil, who happens to be Ruto.
Okay.
Because he has more money. But the other thing is, if there was money coming, that tag of commercial activism, if there was money, I was being paid to do what I do, they would actually stop the funders. The government runs the banking system, which means if there's money coming to my account for a particular activity, they would say, but first Mwangi received 10,000 shillings to do this activity. This money came from this other person. But also, people think that the West cares so much about this country that they can actually invest in activists. They care about business interests, so they invest in Ruto. The Muzungus you think invest in me, they invest in Ruto. Ruto is the one going to all those capitals of the world, begging with a begging bowl, asking for them to give him money. And also, the commercial activism tag came when we went after Ruto and Uhuru when they were going to the ICC. Because you are saying these people committed alleged crimes against humanity, rape, murder, displacement of people. Then they said, no, it's NGOs telling us we killed people. But people died. and there was funding in that violence. So basically, to murky the water, they say that. But if I was earning because Ruto kills, then Ruto should stop killing people so I don't earn. Ruto should stop arresting people so that I don't earn. So they try everything and they say commercial activism. What is that? And where does that money come from? They should tell us. And it's and Kenyans who believe that people are getting paid to go to the streets, those Kenyans are foolish as well. Because the truth is, if there was money being paid, everyone would be in the streets. Because about 6 out of 10 kids in this country don't have a job.
Right.
And that's why they are goons. But there was money coming that it was a lot, they would actually be doing that as well. So the government is trying to unpack my life and see, how does this man make money? How do we try and discredit him? And they say commercial activism. But if you ask them, what does it mean? They can't tell you what it means. It doesn't make sense. But maybe it helps them sleep better at night knowing that they've discredited me. But the truth is, at the end of the day, time reveals all truth. Eventually, we shall know the truth.
Yeah. And you've been involved. I mean, I've also you've been involved in some causes that remain in the minds of people for the longest time about things that should not be. We remember coming out and covering a story about the children at the school in Langata who were tear gassed that day because there was some grabbing that was supposed to happen on their school that would then curtail where they were able to play as children. I mean, going out and talking about the fact that members of parliament cannot be, I mean, I think the term MPIG started with you. That cannot be in the house where they're supposed to be legislating, oversighting, budget making, and they're not actually doing that. So it has been pointing out ills that people should be aware of. What do you think people ought to do then with that information? Because beyond the being in the street, because the day ends. I remember another conversation we had and you said, you were feeling a bit scared that day and you were not sure if you were going to come home.
Yes.
So beyond being in the streets and the fear and the high octane adrenaline being there, you come home and you still sat with the issues. So what are people supposed to do at the expense of that inertia? Where then do you point? Where do you point towards the solution to say, okay, guys, we've done it because you needed to feel it. You have to be emotional about something then to be able to change it. So then we felt the emotion. Now what do we do with it?
So we need to use our anger in a productive way. We need to use our anger to hold our leaders accountable and use that anger to transform our country. And how do you do that? You realize that every single person in office today is elected. You have a lot of people who are appointed, but they're appointed by those who elect. So basically you have to ask yourself as a Kenyan voter, what is the problem that ails our country, our community, our village? And who is best place to replace the person who is the problem? Because my concern is that the anger we have does not last till an election, or the anger we have is buried by tribalism, where we just whitewash anyone because they come from our community. And it concerns me that if we do not deal with tribalism before the next election, we're going to have a very tribal election. Because I'm part of the opposition in this country. And I've been in rooms in this country in the last couple of weeks, perhaps, talking about unity in the opposition and all that. Then you have some entitled old man saying, I want 50% or 60% of this government because I'm going to bring this many votes. But I'm like, you're bringing your own vote and maybe a couple of people. You can't come and say an entire community belongs to you because it does not. So Kenyans need to start saying, mimi si wa mtu. I don't belong to anyone. If you belong to anyone, maybe your wife or your kids. Because this thing of somebody's grandfather or mother or father walking around saying, I'm carrying an entire community. You're not carrying an entire community. You don't eat at your house. You do not do for us anything apart from roaming around this country talking about this and that. And the same thing applies to the president. Actually, the person can actually say he's carrying the entire country. He's the president. Because apart from him being elected, we give him the entire budget to run this country. So for him, we can actually say we're supposed to ride on his back because he's the one carrying our money. But any other person who is running around in this country saying, I want to get elected, should actually say, what is the best interest for this country? And so the mess you're in right now is that, one, citizens are apathetic about the electoral process. They are apathetic about holding the leaders to account. And they're pathetic about what's happening in this country because their apathy is like to teach lesson 2027. But you can teach someone a lesson next week by shutting down a country like we did yesterday. So there are many things we can do, but let our anger transform this country, because if we do not change Kenya in the next 1 year, we cannot afford another 5 years of Ruto. Kenya will be gone forever. And you guys are a good example that because of speaking truth to power, you can't pay your employees because the government cannot pay you. So this person is using public coffers to punish a private company because he doesn't like how they write the stories or how they air the stories. And that's pettiness of the highest level from a president. And that's hurting many, many lives. But he does not care. So from Mr. Petty President, you have to ensure that you don't elect more petty politicians in this coming election. So let your anger transform this country.
Right. And I mean, there is no doubt, I think, in most of the Kenyans on that we need a change of regime. People say Ruto must go, and must go he will, because on 10th of August, we are 55 weeks away. It's not very far. But the outgoing president, Ruto, will not be in office on the 11th of August by the virtue of the collective will of the people, sovereignty of the people.
Yes.
But then what? Because I look at it this way. The injustices we are facing, the tax injustice, the odious debt, the collapse of our whole health system, education system. Today we are talking about people washing clothes and utensils along the shores of Lake Victoria. A woman gave birth outside a hospital in Tana River. Is it Tana River? Those things, Ruto will not take them home. So Ruto goes, which is good for the country. And then what?
So Ruto goes, and then you have a country that is going to be run on rule of law, constitutionalism, a country that can be able to say, let's audit our debts from the last 15 years and see the money that you borrowed, where the money went. A country that is going to go after people who have looted since the devolution came into place. A country that promises to ensure people who commit economic crimes are prosecuted, and if possible, they're hanged in public to deter people from stealing from public coffers. We just need to imagine a new country. And 2 years ago, actually, the Gen Z imagined a new Kenya. There was a feeling that Kenya can change, that the leaders that you have in power can be accountable to the people. That was the dream of the Gen Z, and that dream has not died yet.
Still alive.
And we hope that we, the millennials, and the parents of millennials, baby boomers, we're not going to betray the Gen Z spirit. Because if you betray the Gen Z spirit and you vote along tribal lines and you elect the same people, same forest, same monkeys, or different forest, same monkeys, Kenya is going to be gone forever. Kenya cannot survive this reckless kind of leadership. A leadership that doesn't care, a leadership that lacks empathy, a leadership that never serves the people, that is just self-serving. Kenya cannot afford that for another 5 years.
And I do agree with you on that one. So the question then becomes, do you feel from where you stand the civic education gap is shortening? Because if we're able to imagine the new Kenya, the birth of a nation that we want, the ideals that we want to aspire to and manifest through the ballot, we are able to imagine that. But the only way to effect that is through the ballot.
True.
The Constitution has provided a clear path that we have the voting process, which is coming up in the near future. But do you feel the voter has begun to awaken to that realization that, your tribal kingpins, today they're saying they're kingpins, but they're not solving the problems. Your kingpins are serving in the cabinet, but you're still having the problems in the ministries that they serve in. So are Kenyans realizing that kingpins, tribal kingpins, are not the solution? The way you say that some old man coming and saying, you know what, I'm going to bring this block of votes, so you should give me this much share of the government. Are we realizing that we are responsible for giving birth to that new nation that we're imagining that began in June 2024?
So we have been so neglected as a country by our leaders that we don't see that we have that power.
Right.
So we need to first believe that Kenya can change and that we can actually elect a new leadership. So that belief place, we're not even there yet. But also you have to realize that people who, because of the way politics is run in this country, they did not vote in the last election. Almost 8 million Kenyans.
Right.
How do you get those people to say, we're going to vote this time round?
And vote right. Not just vote, but vote right.
Yeah, vote right at the same time, right? Like if there's going to be a competition between the devil and Satan, look for the angel that you don't know and vote for that angel, you know? So that's where we are at. It's going to take a lot of us speaking at the same time. Okay, let's first dream of that country.
Yeah.
And once we have that, envision the country we want, then let's sell our dream, which the Gen Z sold us actually, that the leaders can actually work for us. If we're able to do that, Kenya will change. And remember, you're going to be going against the machine of politicians who have benefited from tribal politics, who have so much money to pay people, who will also try and buy votes, who will try and reward their cronies, who will try and say one side of this country is going to vote for me. So you're going to be going an entire system that has worked for a very, very long time. So the question is, can the progressives who are in politics like me work together and sell that dream and tell Kenyans how that dream is going to be realized?
All right. Let's look at then the things that we need to unfold, and let's unpack that to say this is what it can actually be. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and continue. Boniface Mwangi is here with us this morning, and we want to come and look at, okay, well, you can dream about that Kenya. What would that Kenya look like if things were working to the satisfaction of people? What would it look like? We'll come back and discuss that when we come back from this quick break. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
All right, where are you this morning? There's some traffic on the Thika Superhighway as you get into the city. It's actually quite some getting towards the Pangani underpass. Some of that goes out then towards the city, and then you open up as you get towards the Globe Cinema roundabout. It closes down again. Kirinyaga Road will take on some of that traffic, and also then getting onto Moi Avenue, that traffic will still continually be heavy. We're also looking at traffic then on Wangari Maathai Way as you get through towards museums, and then there's some inbound traffic also from Lower Kabete in through towards Spring Valley. That's busy. James Gishoro crossing over towards Waiyaki Way, busy. But then I think Ring Road Westerns will take on some of that traffic. It's busy then also as you get into the city, coming off of Parklands Road, inbound on Parklands Road, and all your many avenues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's keep things moving, and we'll talk SpiceFM. KEONX hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Oxide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide. Inside from Chloride Oxide.
So many forward here. Titles are on the line. Rivalries are at their peak. This is the final stretch where legends rise and champions are made. From the Saudi League to the Bundesliga and La Liga. Recharge your monthly subscription today to feel the pressure, feel the passion, feel the game. Every pass, every goal, every moment matters. Don't miss a moment. Renew your subscription and stay in the game. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. Download the StarTimes On app to enjoy all your favorite shows and stream live channels on the move. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life. Sebastian Allaire.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversations continue this morning with Boniface Mwangi. But before we get to the place where we are saying, okay, so what does that Kenya look like? There was an expectation yesterday. Did the commemoration yesterday fulfill what it was supposed to? To say that, okay, yes, we came out and we, remembered those who died, and then hopefully remembering the cause that Kenyans are fighting for. Did it achieve what it was supposed to achieve yesterday? And was there something more that needed to happen?
There was an achievement. It was a national holiday. That was a good achievement. But there was not that remembrance that we wanted to happen because the government shut down the city. People wanted to come to the city. light candles, lay flowers, visit parliament, but it was on lockdown. The entire city was on lockdown. So that isn't achieved. And then the other thing is that there's a promise last week that the mothers are going to get paid and families are going to get paid. They haven't been paid.
Yeah.
So there's that lie that there'll be compensation. That is not happening yet. And also there's a feeling of the government just discarding or destroying the constitution, because so yesterday 3 things happened that are very illegal. Number one, the barricades. You can't put barricades without notifying the country. The barricades were illegal, number one. Number two, there was police officers wearing camouflage clothes and masking their faces. That is also illegal. Number three, the government arrested 355 people yesterday across the country. People who are not committing any crimes. So basically, the government broke all laws: the right to protest, the right to gather, the right to assemble. And that means that we have not progressed from 2 years ago. The only thing that we can actually celebrate, no one died. So it is actually possible for people to go to the streets the entire day and not get shot dead. So basically, that was a win. That yesterday there was a respect of the right to life. But everything else was broken down. As in, the government is so scared of young people gathering together that they locked down the entire city. So basically, if the roads were open, the borders could come to the city, the cars could come to the city, I guarantee you it could have been an entire full city of police, of citizens protesting without any looting. Every time there are goons come with the police. So we can't celebrate what happened yesterday. Like, the police broke every single law. But also, it shows that the government is very insecure. Parliament was shut down. State House Road was surrounded by police. So basically, Ruto is a scared man.
Well, they did turn the country into a ghost town. And which, contrary to the provisions of our constitution, they know the right to picket.
Yes.
Actually, we were expecting that people who were coming out to commemorate their safety will be secured by the state machinery. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But, before we went on a break, we were talking about the birth of a new nation. And I would want to imagine in this new nation, Boniface Mwangi will not need to come out to the streets, because the desires of the country, the ideals of the nation will be manifesting. So what will that need to look like for you to feel that indeed what you have been protesting for and on for the last 20 years, because it's a build-up, it's a culmination of events. You put your life on the line. I'm sure you've lost opportunities. There are things. There is a cost to it. But for the last 2 decades, for the last 20 years, there is what you've been desiring to see. How would that country look like that would make you sit back and say, I can now hang my boots, the proverbial statement?
So when the freedom fighters fought for independence, they fought for land and freedom. And this country, we have a lot of people who are still squatters in their own country, squatters in their birthplace where they were born. Ancestral land belongs to a family or a few individuals, or it's a conservancy, or belongs to some remnants of the colonial descendants. So we need to look at the land issue. That is number one, primarily the land issue. We need to be able to ensure that everyone has a piece of land to call home. The other thing that Jomo Kenyatta declared when we got independent is that we're going to fight against disease, poverty, and ignorance. And I think 63 years later, there's still disease, there's still poverty, there's still ignorance. But the fourth thing that we have as a country that is a cancer is corruption. So how do you deal with those four things? So to eliminate disease, we actually need to ensure that healthcare is free and accessible to all in the entire country. We want to ensure that you have doctors. There should not be any unemployed doctors, because we don't even have enough doctors. So employ doctors, ensure that there's medicine in every single hospital, and hospitals have the equipment that they need. And how do you ensure that you have medicine? There's a lot of generic medicine that can actually produce as a country. There's no sense of a government buying Panadol for 20 shillings when you could produce it for 1 bob or 2 shillings, right? So ensure that is done. And then we ensure that in every single hospital, doctors clock in and clock out. The same way you come to work and clock in, clock out, you can do that. And there's also a patient history. How many patients did the doctor see? So you don't have a culture where a doctor comes and hangs a coat, goes to their private clinic. That is one. Number two, education. We'll have to standardize all schools in this entire country. That the schools in Turkana, the schools in Tana River are the same. Lokichogio and Lamu, standardized schools. Labs are the same. Libraries are the same level of teaching class. Like everyone is standardized education in the entire country. They're going to deal with ignorance. The poverty problem that this country faces is because, number one, there's lack of education. You're educating your people, and your people are dealing with the disease problem. But also the energy thing. In this country, energy is too expensive. So companies come to the country, they can't be able to produce or manufacture because energy is too expensive. Invest in clean energy, geothermal, make energy cheaper. Now, the reason these three things are not happening the way they're supposed to happen is because of corruption. Because everything, that's the anchor problem in this country, that every single project in this country is 50% of that money goes to entrepreneurs and as kickbacks. So eliminate corruption. And how do you do that? You need to jail people who are corrupt. You need to be able to start a clean slate. One of the things that I thought about as a thing we can do as a country, that when we get elected into power, when I get elected into power, that you give guys a moratorium. You say, let's do 6 months. Return everything that you stole, and just, let's say you're forgiven, and you can just disappear from the face of leading this country. Like, just do a moratorium. Because corruption fights back. Let's just say you stole and maybe you gained from this thing. Maybe you stole land 40 years ago, like some people that we know. You've been earning from that land for the last 40 years. Just give back the land and just disappear. If they fail to do that, then you use the full force of the law to go after them. So you just say, we're going to start a new country without revenge and without vengeance. You say, day one, you have from day one to month 6, return everything you have stolen, no questions asked, and let's now start a clean slate as a country.
Yeah. As I listen to you list those things, it just seems like there's so much that needs to be done. That just from sitting here thinking that we see the issue that a woman gives birth outside the hospital, it is a representation of the bigger problem. That women are washing their laundry in a lake is a representation of a bigger problem. And that people are getting sick because you've been told that a river and the products like the fish, for example, that they test and they see that river or that lake has high levels of chromium and nickel, and that comes from the waste that is put. Do you see where I'm going?
Yes, I see where you're going.
And that's just social. We've not even started to tackle things like the bigger health issue, the education issue. That things just seem, but the attention that's being paid is not to those things that are guaranteed for protection under the Constitution. There seem to be so many balls up in the air. Is it possible to handle all of these things and to do them right? Is it possible? Because sometimes I sit and I find myself saying, maybe they just can't have a handle on this thing. That's what the problem is.
It's very possible. So the men and women in our country are in the minority. We talk about water. There's about 20 million Kenyans who don't have access to clean water. They get water from the river or boreholes, and the water is not clean. So give everyone clean water. That is actually doable. We're talking about pollution of rivers and lakes, and even the river here. The people who pollute the river are known people. For example, Nairobi River can never be clean if you don't have a proper garbage disposal system. Like if you don't recycle the garbage and have garbage collection systems, people are going to get money, collect garbage, throw it on Nairobi River. If you don't have a proper sewerage in the communities where the slums are, people are going to put their waste into the river. Those are basic things to do. Let me tell you, cities have been built for thousands of years.
Yes, correct.
Rome had 2,000 years ago. Rome had water ducts in their cities. So there's nothing new that needs to be done. What you have is actually a drought of leadership. That the people you have in power do not fix public problems. They just ensure they have private solutions for their problems. So, for example, there's a pipe that goes from the Abadeas. I went to claim the Abadeas. There's a pipe that goes from the Abadeas that was built during the colonial times that goes straight to State House. So Australians will never have a water problem. You see that? So he doesn't know there's a water problem in the country because when he opens his shower, he can shower and there's water, right? You find that the reason why education is such a mess because all our leaders, me included, take our kids to private schools.
Yep.
So we don't have to fight for public schools to be better. If I'm sick, I don't have to go to a Kanjo hospital to queue. I just go to a private hospital and I get treated. And to make matters worse, even the employees of the county government of Nairobi and other county governments have private healthcare. And there lies the problem because why would the county government of Nairobi pay 2 billion shillings for private healthcare instead of using 2 billion to build a hospital for them and then they can serve other patients, you know? It's just a problem. Uhuru Kenyatta began schooling in a public school, Lady Northie. It was a public school. But his father messed education so much, he had to go to a private school. Ruto is a product of a public school. So was Kibaki. There were days that you could take a child to a public school and then people get education. Today, public schools are getting 87 shillings capitation. What do you do with 87 shillings? Do you buy a pencil or an exercise book? Basically, we have run down this country. But at the same time, improving the lives of our politicians, because when you walk around this city or around this country, you tell you, oh, that hotel belongs to that person, that car belongs to that person. You have seen their flashy weddings, or the helicopters in that corner, or they belong to this person, or that plane, this person, because they are looting public coffers to enrich themselves. And it's a very, do you know you don't get remembered for your wealth? You get remembered for your impact. You don't remember how much Kibaki owned, but you remember what Kibaki did. Remember this, Kibaki came as president. On day one, he said free primary education. There was no World Bank, there was no IMF, there was no new budget, and everyone went to school. That means some of these things are doable. You just need a change of leadership. However, as a country, if we make the mistake of electing survivors of past regimes as the new leadership, nothing is going to change. Things are going to get worse. And then the Gen Z will ban this country, they will ban those politicians, they will ban those kids, and we'll have no country left. Because the anger they had 2 years ago is still there. It's still simmering. And they're trying to direct towards electoral process. But if there's no electoral justice, and there's an attempt to rig this coming election, 2007 will look like it was a birthday party, because these young people are more militarized. They have seen other things. 2007 there's no internet. You could not be radicalized. Now it was very kidogo internet. Right now anyone in a village has access to the internet. These kids will ban this country. I guarantee you that if some of these politicians think they can get away with what they've done in the last 63 years, they're wrong.
Does it have to go that way?
It doesn't have to go through the violent way, but those people who make peaceful change impossible are going to face a violent revolution. So everyone has to do their role. IBC has to ensure that they do their role and they don't play monkey games on the voter register. And they don't give people who don't deserve IDs. The politicians have to be very careful with the rhetoric, because sometimes they think they are arming goons to harm other people, but those goons can see that they're being used. They can harm them actually, right? And thirdly, as parents and as responsible citizens, we must be able to engage in politics that is not harmful, and in politics that is not divisive and is not fighting. There's no violence. I want to be able to go to a UDA rally and heckle UDA or ODM or Ukweli Party rally without being harmed. We must remove violence from our politics to avoid anarchy and violence in the coming election. But as long as people are being allowed to have goons, I can guarantee you there will be tit for tat and there will be violence.
Wow. Well, but I like that there is an option, that if we start a different operating system, we can change the political fiber. We can have a different outcome.
True.
We don't even need to show up in our opponent gatherings or meetings to heckle them. We can simply not show up. If people also decline to be mobilized, to be paid to show up, that is also a statement, because protesting has different faces and different forms, and you know this. And unfortunately, sometimes we are cowed to think that it must be violent. It doesn't have to be. Yesterday, the commemoration may not have happened in a manner that we anticipated, but I think the Constitution also won. The people are beginning to win. If we say tomorrow that also we need not show up for whatever reason, whatever agitation we have, and we don't, and the day ends without a single loss of life. For me personally, that's a win. And then we need to continue making these advances in also organizations and institutions where they matter. People have rendered the National Assembly illegitimate because they are failing to represent the people.
Yeah.
Now, even though we are going to have a new president on the 11th of August next year, what do you say to now all the subsequent representation at the county assemblies, at the National Assembly, the appointment in the various agencies and ministries? What do you say to that? Because, yes, we know the buck stops with the president. The leader of the pack determines the quality. If you look at the hunting of the wild dogs, the leader of the pack determines the success of that hunting activity. But how do we speak to now other cadres of representation? Because also we still bear the same responsibility of holding them accountable.
So for example, health is devolved. So if you don't have medicine in a local dispensary or local health center, it's because of your member of county assembly. So you need to know who is your member of county assembly. In terms of how much money spent on our national budget is your members of parliament. Actually, if you had some mature members of parliament, the 189, I think, members of parliament, or 88 who boycotted the vote, can actually come to parliament and impeach Ruto. You don't have to wait for 5 years to remove Ruto from power. You can actually impeach a president. And so we have to ensure that the quality of the people we elected to the National Assembly, to the Senate, to county assemblies are of good caliber and good quality. Unfortunately, the way our politics is designed, it's so lucrative that you attract the worst of the worst to get into politics. And how do we get the worst of the worst? So the worst of the worst have committed a lot of crimes, and they have a lot of money. And the best way to get 24/7 protection is become a member of parliament, because the government assigns you a bodyguard. And then you get a siren, and then you get access to power, and you can also corrupt the corridors of power. If you get arrested, you can say, oh, it's political
witch hunt.
So there's a lot of that. So that's why you find that there have been billionaires accused of being drug dealers becoming politicians and getting elected. There have been people called gold scammers getting elected. People accused of being land grabbers getting elected. Like the refuge you run to when you have money and you're a criminal is politics. So chapter 6 is not respected at all. But at the end of the day, it's not that person gets to buy the vote. Now, if you refuse to sell the vote, you won't get the worst of the worst into parliament. So Kenyans who vote and who know that they sell their votes must stop selling their votes, because when someone bribes you to get elected, it's an investment for them. So we, the voters, are to blame for the quality of leaders we have. No one else. It's the voters. Because rarely do we get someone saying they rigged the entire election. But the same voters that you're saying that don't have access to clean water, there's no medicine in hospital, are the same voters who despise poor people. I think people who get elected into parliament and the poor is like maybe 20%. The majority who get elected have money. When I ran for office in Starehe, people considered me very poor. They even despised me. Someone is living in a slum without a toilet or clean water, and they despised me because I rode a motorcycle and came to ask them for vote. Someone in maskini sana, wasn't this idea? And I know I'm not supposed to say idea you. I'm supposed to go and represent you in parliament. But like uja ngonya, uja toa kitu. That is the problem. Voters want to be paid cash for their votes. I'm like, no, don't sell your vote. When you sell your vote, you're selling your future. So there's work to be done, man.
Do you reckon Kenyans know who the leaders are, or who the would-be leaders are, who would actually make an impact for change and to actually ensure that things are running? Do you think that Kenyans know?
No, they don't.
They don't?
They don't.
Why?
I think because if you look at the people that the media platforms every day, you platform the same faces every day. If you look at a news bulletin, it's the same faces every day. So when there's a presidential race, you say there are 2 horses and others are donkeys and goats. That's the problem, that you do not give the same weight to everyone. It's understandable because when a dog bites a man, that's not news, but when a man bites a dog, that's news. But at the same time, you platform people who should not be platformed every time. The reason why some politicians have big heads, because even when they say bad stuff and things that are harmful, you still platform them. We need to find an alternative way of creating new leadership in this country. We need to show people who are doing the work in this country. There must be a way. I don't have the answer to your question, but I think there's a way to get out of this malaise. Yeah.
So Kenyans have an opportunity to vote next year. You talk about, almost 8 million people who didn't vote, then who didn't get an opportunity. Many also say that them not voting is also an answer that they give. But the ballot requires you, in order for us to count it, it requires you to cast it.
Yes.
Right? And be counted so that you can know who the person is who's going to come into play. Things like voter apathy has been thrown at us. I don't know whether we're bringing us a lot of these things into place. IEBC says that the campaign period is between May 29th and August 7th next year. So before that, anything that's happening is not campaigning. Okay. Now, are Kenyans more embracive or are embracing more this situation of, okay, I've realized that the connection between sound leadership is the decision that I make at the ballot? Are we getting there? And if not, what needs to happen for Kenyans to be in that space?
So about 10 years ago, or maybe 12 years ago, when Uhuru was elected, he fought all the NGOs that were doing civic education. They were deregistered. IFS, all of them were deregistered and kicked out. So basically, there's been a deliberate dumbing down of voters in this country. So that's why there's no civic education. Because remember when you voted for Kibaki in 2002, those vijana tugutuke.
Yes.
Where people are being given civic education. But now, organizations that actually do civic education are not able to do that anymore. And then when Trump came into power, USAID closed whatever was left in this country. So basically, people who do civic education should be the IBC, which is government, and then NGOs. NGOs don't have the money and they don't have the funding to do it. And then IBC is funded by the government, and the government will not fund a component that is going to remove bad leaders who happen to be in government. So now, civic education is left to guys like Ademba and Willie Wemba who are doing Nikokadi. So it's citizens saying, you know what, nitumie za fare, nikapige shughuli hapa, nifundishe watu kuhusu civic education. But assuming that Kenyan celebrities and leaders who care about a better country can take the initiative to educate voters, that would actually help, because these celebrities have big platforms. You guys have a platform every single day, and you can make civic education your agenda every day. Like we should not allow ourselves to feel like just because ABC is not doing it, that we can't do anything about it. So we must do something about it.
Indeed.
That's correct, because bad leaders are elected by people who don't vote. And 30% of the people did not show up. True. Now, last time. And then only 30% voted. So you see, when you do the numbers, you realize...
Actually, apathy won. The people who did not vote were more people than the ones who elected Ruto. Yeah, so...
So we need a paradigm shift. And how I wish that in time we can grow to that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Boniface Mwangi, presidential aspirant, as well as an active citizen, a concerned citizen. Thank you for being here in this conversation today.
Sandy.
Looking forward to more as usual. Good morning, 8 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. Families of young people killed during the June 2024 Gen Z anti-government protest have rejected the government's compensation offer, saying no amount of money can replace the lives of their loved ones. Speaking after laying wreaths outside Parliament in memory of the victims, the family described the compensation as inadequate and demanded that police officers responsible for the killings to be held accountable. Here is Gillian Munyao, the mother of Rex Masai.
Even if the government compensates us, there is no any amount of money that can bring back our loved ones. The government should know that they might kill us, but they cannot finish us. They might give us the peanuts that they are giving out, but remember, the pain in our house will always remain there. They might get away with the cases in the courts, but you know, there is God in heaven who sees everything that is happening. The final judge is our God.
The mother of 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango, who was also killed during the protest, shared the same view, insisting that those responsible for her son's death must be brought to justice.
Mimi kama mama, wamama wenzangu tunataka justice. Hiyo compensation iwezi rudisha hai, na hata hiyo justice haitarudisha, lakini itatupea money. 3 million. Hata ukigongwa na gari nadhani insurance nalipa hata more than 3 million. Bado narudia kusema sisi ni wanyonge, maskini, hata akipewa mfupa atachukua. Lakini tafadhali kuwa mtu wa maneno wako. Kumbuka tu kitu moja, sisi unatoua na ni sisi ndio tulikupea kura. Na ni sisi unahitaji kura yetu next year.
Residents of Kisumu have embraced voter registration as an alternative means of expressing their political views, marking a shift from previous protests that were often characterized by demonstrations and violence. More than 8,000 young people who had not collected their IDs received the documents and were subsequently registered as voters ahead of next year's general election. Business activities continued uninterrupted across the city, with residents saying they had chosen a peaceful approach and will not allow politicians to exploit them to destroy property during protest.
Tumesa choma barabara, tumesa haribu vitu za watu, but leo naona amani tuko nayo. Nimefurahi sana.
This is an alternative form of expression. Instead of this doing things the same way and getting the same results. But this time we want to try a different approach.
Kama utaki kiongozi, ngoja mwaka ujao. Chukua kura. Ngoja mwaka ujao. Pigia yule kiongozi ambaye unamtaka kura.
And to matters health, LCS Nduh has confirmed that the country has not recorded any cases of Ebola so far. He, however, cautioned long-distance travelers to avoid unnecessary contact with individuals from the DRC and Uganda as a precautionary measure. Nduh said the government remains prepared to contain the disease should any case be reported in the country. His remarks were echoed by tourism PS Julius Bitok, who assured tourists of their safety while visiting Kenya.
There is no Ebola in Kenya. Tourists from all over the world can come confidently, enjoy themselves. The place is very safe. We are doing everything possible to ensure that our beaches are okay, our safari is okay, everybody is safe. Let us enjoy the tourism. Let's enjoy the safari and the beach tourism in Kenya. So I want to say that for those guys who have doubts, ask me. No Ebola in Kenya.
Meanwhile, Malindi MP Amina Mnyanzi has defended the government decision to establish quarantine centers, describing them as a precautionary step in the event of an outbreak.
Nchi kama Kongo, kuna Wakenya wetu wenye ambao wanapita Kongo, wanaenda na kurudi all the time. Ndivyo ama sivyo hivyo? So kama wale Wakenya wetu safari hii, wakija kwa matembezi yao, wakija kutembelea familia zao, na iwapo mmoja wao amepatikanwa na Ebola, mtu kama yule sisi tunampeleka wapi? So mimi na support kwamba kuwe kuna quarantine sites, centers, ya kwamba kama ule ugonjwa utaweza kuingia ndani ya Kenya, tuwe tuko na mahali pa kuweza kuhifadhi wale ambao watakuwa wamepatikanwa na ule ugonjwa. But as of now najua na niko na uhakika kama vile PS amesema na waziri pia ameweza kulikariri hili mara kadhaa, hakuna Ebola ndani ya Kenya.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why they're not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room. the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do. Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so into the hour, 8 minutes after 8 o'clock, and a very good morning to you. Into the Situation Room, and coming off of yesterday, I don't know if that anybody felt that it needed to be like a bulldozer, bull's eye kind of thing, but that the country was at a standstill. And some of these things happened regardless. Okay, so before we get into a half-hour conversation that we'll have with you before our youth perspective conversation begins, remember that the battery to use for your vehicle, Dennis Aseto always tells us those things he calls lumbar support, a heated steering wheel in this. You get into the car in the morning and the steering wheel is cold. But apparently, if you have a battery that's been running optimally, some of those things you do need to worry about. You crank your engine and you're ready to go. Lumbar support, making sure that you're comfortable as you're getting into it. If you make sure that your steering wheel is not freezing while you start to drive, making sure that you can play your music, go from point A to point B. All of these are made possible in your vehicle of choice because of your chloride Exide battery. Remember I told you how you can get it? Yep. Now I'm telling you what exactly it can do. And you don't have to worry about whether you have an issue with playing music for a long period of time, whether it will take you from point A to point B, whether the different accessories towards living this good life, even while you're driving, will actually be met. Chloride Exide. That's the battery that you need to get this morning.
Okay, let's be powered.
Yes, exactly. We're powered.
Let's be powered.
It's all about being powered this morning. So it gives us an opportunity to talk to you. And I think maybe we'll have a few minutes where you can actually call us to let us know. And I think this is the question that has just been lingering in my mind, that there's so many things that need to be done. And that those are the issues that are being brought out. Those were the issues.
Yeah.
And that it's been commemorated because people died, trying to stand on those issues and to say that these things actually need to be sorted out. That where are you where you look at something in a shambles? Like I went back over and I read and I looked at that story again, and that's where there's stories that jump out at us every now and then, and people will tell us that it's the Standard. No, it's actually the story that was in the Star this morning of this woman who gave birth outside a hospital. I'm going to use that as the port of call for this conversation. That in 2026, when you're talking about mega infrastructure that is going to be used to propel an economy, but that the building blocks of society have been chipped away. Are you really working on a problem? Are you really solving the issue? When you see, I mean, because we can talk about the morals and we can talk about the debasement of values and all of that.
Right.
But that this woman who gave birth, as in she was at the end, if you've given birth, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Even if you haven't and you've been you understand what I'm saying. That by the time she presented herself to hospital, she was at the end, literally, of this tunnel. But number one, you turn her away because you're not going to offer services based on a system which you've told the whole country is working, and it is not. That this woman then proceeds to give birth outside the hospital. It is not just the physical giving birth that we're talking about was a catastrophe in this whole area where there are even people. We have a breakdown of society. Who watched this woman be delivered of her baby. From the story now is that a few people came around to help her out, kind of thing. And then later on, after the fact, because it was an embarrassment, after the fact, then now bring her up, wrap her up, and then administer care. So what does that mean? That you were able to do it prior to this whole incident, but that you chose not to. Remember, I said it is representative of a lot of the drama that we see, and it's not being handled. That is what those issues that were brought in 2024, that is what is representing those issues that were brought about. That where does somebody get the temerity to operate like that if they were not shown? If it is not imprinting to say, well, okay, well, so what? We cannot serve you. Just go. That is it. So the question that then lingers in my mind because of that is it very difficult to handle these matters?
Well, Nduh, it is not difficult to handle the matters. What is difficult is for us to understand who should be handling the matters. The challenge is in the handling. Because the persons that we as a country, we as a people, have trusted and delegated our power to oversee the provision of those services have failed. And now when we talk about it in various platforms, the beneficiaries of the failing system are the ones who push back. Because you hear somebody trying to justify the birthing of that child outside the hospital. The same way you hear now, like the Bold newspaper, being told they are attacking the regime. But there is no single story that the regime can talk back on from the Standard and say, this was not true. You know, like call me on a bluff and say, whatever we said was not correct. And you realize now the challenge is not the issues we are facing, because we have the solutions. We have the solution to our health system can be straightened in the next 3 months, a record 3 months, and everybody will sufficiently be catered for when they need to. Our education system can be well catered for and streamlined. Come January, every kid will be where they're supposed to be, and the teacher-student ratio should be appropriate. But you find an obsession with concrete and tarmac, because that's where these people make money. The governor will come and tell you, build a road, a hospital, but they will not talk about lack of nurses, lack of clinical officers, doctors still not on PNP, teachers. They'll not talk about the human development. We need to shift our mind from the visible development projects that are spoken about, because the lady was at a hospital. So there's an establishment where she should get that medical care and service. But the personnel were not efficient. You understand?
I get it.
So we need to shift our understanding of what development is. And that's why we need to redefine the new nation, the new country that we must have. Yesterday, as you rightly put it, was also a recap of the issues that led to the onset of the revolution. Because the country is in a revolution. Whether I want to agree or not, the country is in a revolution. And I'll jog your memory a bit and say, we've had about 7-8 movements in this regime. It started with the Mandaman of Tuesday, when Baba would say Tuesday, immediately after the election. Then it came that Sufuria of the Jeremiah Kioni. That was also a movement. Then came the Zakayo Ashuke. They were intertwined because of the high taxes that were coming up. It came now, the protest of the finance bill. We had the Tawe movement. The Natembea was leading that pack. We've had the Mimi Ndiye Sifuna. We've had the Tukokadi. You get?
Yeah.
So they keep taking different shapes and forms, but people are saying we do not have faith in this regime serving us as we should be as Kenyans. It could be a health issue, could be education issue, could be a tax issue, could be an economy issue, it could be a justice issue, but the point is people are not comfortable with this government. But the sympathizers of the regime will come and tell you, no, but the president is doing what has not been done before. My friend, it is not a comparative with the past. We are a progressive nation. We should be moving forward and saying, yes, they never did it, but the one who is doing it is also not doing it right. We have to do better. So people need to understand, it's nothing personal. I don't think anybody would have a problem with Ruto if he was not a president. If he was running his own private business and doing whatever it is he can do best. But people have a problem with the outgoing president, William Ruto, because he has a public office that is duty-bound to protect Kenyans from poverty, from disease, from attacks. You know, from illegal immigration, from illegal issuance of IDs, from illegal barricade of protest.
Of parliament.
So that is why people have a problem with anybody in office. If you see somebody talking about a governor, an MCA, an MP, we don't talk down or against the National Assembly and saying they're incompetent because we hate the people. No, some of these MPs are known to us. They are our friends, they are relatives, they are our neighbors, you know. They belong in our communities. But they have assumed an office that requires them to behave a certain way. When they don't, people must be told the truth. The truth shall set us free. So
Indeed.
The challenges are there. It's not hard. We just need to know what we need to do and show up for it.
Okay, so we're going to ask that question this morning, and we'd like to then take a few minutes for us to hear from you. I'm just going to put that number out there, 0723 142 653, 0732 142 650. The issues that are on the table, are they actually solvable? And we can look at them right now. And I think to myself, and I say, you know what? It is not possible, or it shouldn't be possible, that you can tout about development in an area that has never been seen before, and that there are women who are doing laundry for clients, not their own. I think that's a part of the story that I actually missed initially when I was reading it. That they're doing this laundry for clients, that they're washing it in Lake Victoria. The dirty water goes into the lake. They supposedly use clean water to rinse, and then it goes back into the lake, and then they're back in a couple of days to do this. In a county whereby we've been told it is progressive, like you say, and that things are running well, and that we've never seen such development before. If that is the case, I don't care if there are 8 days in a week or 28 hours in a day. Such a thing should not be happening if you're talking about a progressive position. Shouldn't be happening.
No.
And I can continue and continue. You cannot tell me that different suburbs of the city don't have running water. But if you go to a particular area, there are water bowsers lined up from here to Timbuktu. Where are they getting that water from? And then you want to come and tell us there's nothing you can do about the water problem? Close the gaps.
Yep.
Close the gaps. These are the things that we're talking about. Call us. Is it possible to sort out the problems that we are seeing, that you and I see? We're not talking about this grand infrastructure. We're talking about the things that you see on a daily basis. Is it actually possible to solve these problems, or are we looking at a situation where divine intervention is required? 0732 142 650, 0732 142 653. As from where I'm sitting, that there are very many things that can be sorted. This Dandora dump site that people have come from Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn to come and say that we can actually fix this thing for you. The problem, what are we told? People want to be bribed to fix your own problem. Beat you. Let's hear from you. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, morning, Nduh.
How are you doing? What's your name and where are you calling in from, sir?
I'm Josphat. I'm calling you from Narok.
What do you think? Are these problems solvable, or are we just saying it needs God to come down?
It needs God to come down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Explain, Josphat.
You see, like now, let me talk about my case. My wife went to the hospital recently, and do you know what I was told with the SHA?
What were you told?
That in my account, SHA has already 500 shillings, and I am a teacher. I asked myself, what is 500 shillings? She was just told that SHA is not working for teachers, and recently, serikali ilisema kwamba teachers SHA is working. By the way, Kenya, I don't know whether these guys who have been there, they have served Moi, they have come to Kibaki, they have come to Huru, they think that this Kenya, the present Kenya, ni ile ya kitambo. This is Kenya where everybody is informed, everybody knows exactly what is right from what is wrong. I think our country is not working well. Nimeshangaa vitu naona tu, even the clergy, the churches, God should come down himself and actually liberate Kenya from this kind of the state we are in. We don't have a country. We have just a country by the boundary. But when it comes to human affairs, we don't have a country. What is happening in Kenya, I wonder, mimi ni mzalendo, lakini nikiangalia hivi nashangaa sana. I'm also watching KTN very, very well. Actually, the program you brought about the gallery, na muileta tena leo. I'm very happy and people are getting informed about what is happening. Otherwise, wacha niache wengine wachangie. Thank you, madam.
Asante sana, Josphat. Thank you for calling in this morning. We'll take a couple more of your calls. Let them come in. Hello, good morning.
Thank you, madam. Asante sana, Josphat. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
A couple more of your calls.
Okay, another one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, kwa majina naitwa Stella Kemunto.
Stella Kemunto, where are you calling from, Stella?
Hello.
Yes, Stella, we can hear you. Tell us where you're calling from.
Nakusikia, napiga kutoka Umoja nako.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tulikuwa tunataka uongee na sauti kidogo na uzime radio tafadhali.
Sawa. Ile kitu yenye nasanga nayo, mi serikali inasema eti inalinda mwananchi. Tukijaribu kuangalia zile vitu zenye inafanya, like kama jana. Murkomen alisimama akasema serikali wamelinda wananchi, lakini tukiangalia penye walikuwa wanafanya Nairobi, ilikuwa ni vitu zingine za kushangaza sana.
Kama nini hiyo, Stella?
Like ukiangalia kama wananchi walikuwa wanaandamana, hawakuwa na furugo yoyote. Lakini ukiangalia venye walikuwa nakamata wananchi wakiwarusha kwa magari, haikuwa inaonyesha picha mzuri.
So wewe unaona kama hizi vitu zinaweza solviwa?
Sidani tu, wanasema oda inatoka huku juu. Kama oda inatoka huku juu, mimi sioni matumaini kwangu.
Well, Stella, asante sana kutupigia leo asubuhi. Thank you very much for your comments here as well. Asante sana.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot to be done, is what people are saying. Josphat,
right.
Your namesake.
There's something about Josphat.
There's something about Josphat.
The name Josphat.
He said that it needs to be a call from heaven. It needs to be like heaven. Kenya, you have a missed call from heaven. There's some more calls. Let's take some of those this morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from, sir.
My name is David Mwangi. I'm calling from Naivasha.
Yes, David, how do you see things? It seems that there are a lot of things happening at the same time. Can they be solved?
They can be solved, but the problem is that it has to be very drastic.
How so?
Because everything seems to be rotten, to say the least. The civil service is rotten. The political system is rotten. Our election systems are rotten. everything is just corruption. You have to buy your way into anything in this country. So, if we need to save the situation, we have to, we need a leader, a president like the Rwandese president. You know, somebody who has the power and the will to do it. Not somebody who has come through our election system because it is so corrupt. You buy votes, and once you buy the votes, when you get to power, you need to get your money back. So corruption continues. And because you want to please the people so that they can elect you another time, then you have to buy them over and over and over by electing people who can only support you, people who do not criticize you, and then you need all this money. So corruption continues. We need somebody who is not, who will not be forced to buy votes. That is somebody who has full power, and this person must have full will to develop this country. That is the only solution, according to me, for the moment.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, David. Thank you for calling in, because it's clear that you're convicted of this. Asante sana.
You're welcome.
David said it's in the leadership. You can't, there are many problems, but if you are going to continue having these corrupt ways of doing things, then that's why you have, these are symptoms of a cancer that's eaten away at the very beginning. And until you deal with the cancer, you're not going to then, the symptoms will keep coming back. You will have a poor education system. You will have a poor health system. You will have corruption. You will have, lack of proper follow-up and accountability and responsibility, because you have not dealt with the original problem.
Correct. The root cause.
Yes, root cause.
The root cause. The roots will sprout and germinate the type of a plant that they are.
Yes.
So if you have these suspicious characters, that's why chapter 6 exists. It exists for a reason. We must look at the character of the person who wants to assume a public office. And one wonders, when we are doing our own personal private hire for whatever contract,
you look for the person above reproach.
You look for the best.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to casting your vote for somebody to manage your life,
just give anybody.
Your business, your economic situation, your future, somebody who can easily mortgage you and cause an act of war, you don't care. Just because they give you a few coins here and there, just because you have a proximity to them, you end up mortgaging the whole country.
Unfortunately. Let's take one more call before we get to the top of it. Hello, good morning.
You don't care.
Hello, good morning.
You have a proximity to them. You end up more.
Hello, good morning. Okay, it seems that you've said by yourself that we now go on to our next conversation. Just hearing that people are saying, okay, a lot needs to be done, and we need to then be able to get into it as concerns you taking control of what is going to happen in your country moving forward. There's a lot to say, and perhaps we'll have an opportunity to talk again on Monday, just a note of that, because the things that we see, what can actually be done on them. So we'll have a conversation around that. Monday's not too far. We'll talk about it a little bit more because it's necessary for us to engage. Right now, though, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back with the youth perspective. 3 of our guests will be here when we come back from that. So stay with us. Let's take a look at what's happening with traffic. It's 8:30 on the nose. We'll be back after this.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic
update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
It's busy in the city this morning and into the CBD. Most of our vehicles, and there's a lot of foot traffic, vehicular traffic going from place to place. Still very busy on Landis Road this morning, getting out towards Haile Selassie. And it's also busy as you come into the city from Lower Kabete, Spring Valley, that area. Wayaki Way outbound traffic is what we're seeing a lot of this morning. And off the Thika Superhighway, it's still heavy at this hour as you come in from Survey heading through towards the Pangani Underpass. It's joining with traffic that's coming off of Kiambu Road right through towards Muthaiga Square. And then on Mombasa Road, there is a little bit of traffic as you approach coming in from Capital Center out towards Uhuru Highway. And it still continues to be pretty heavy on Jogoo Road, going towards Landis Kirinyaga Road, that whole thing trying to join on Moi Avenue. Still traffic. Let's talk in a bit. SpiceFM #EonX, hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Oxide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide, inside from Chloride Oxide.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante.
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversations continue this morning. It's 24 minutes to 9 o'clock, and we're getting into our youth perspective for the week to then see... what's that thing that's done after synopsis? All right. When you looking at and saying, okay, so how did it go? And what does then it portend as you go into the future? So this hour, we're going to be joined by 3 guests who will have this conversation with us. 2 of them are already here. And by way of introduction, Dr. Dionysius Gigi is a theologian, lawyer, and youth leader and joins us in the Situation Room this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you for being here in the Situation Room.
Thank you.
As we go into some of these things this morning, Miri Julius is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, is also here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Nduh.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Sophie Mugure will join us in a bit, and we'll then be able to look into the Gen Z commemoration and then to ask questions around then, so where are we in terms of the protests on the issues, which is where it came from? And one of the things that we can ask is to never lose sight of the issues. But before that, as you know, we'd like to share today's proverb. Today's proverb is the last day of proverbs that we've been looking at that come from Kenya. And this is what it is. We'd love to get your interpretation of it for both of you. Mtaka cha mvuguni sharti ainame.
Yes.
Whoever wants something under the bed must bend down.
Correct.
You're correct? Okay. Mary, tell us, what do you think about that?
My interpretation of that, Nduh, would be because it's a proverb we studied in primary school.
Oh, you did? Okay.
In high school. Mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame.
I would have said it just like that.
Yes.
Had I gone to high school here.
Or even primary school.
Or even primary school here.
Yes,
okay.
When you want something, you must work for it. There is nothing that is given to you on a silver platter.
Right.
So when you want something, you need to strategize and work on it. That is my understanding of that proverb.
Okay. Daktari?
I beg to agree, but also to differ.
Go ahead.
Because on paper, that is the reality. On ground, things are different. As a Gen Z minister, I can tell you for free that not all things that you see moving well have been worked for. Some have been cooked through back doors. So it may be more rhetoric and more theoretic, but not practical. But it should be practical anyway. Thank you.
Indeed. Well, thank you both for being here. And I'm loving that from the interpretation of that proverb from both of you, then that probably forms a mark for how we'll have this conversation this morning.
Thank you.
So the commemoration of the Gen Z protests happened yesterday. And from that, Mary, we start with you.
Yes.
Have issues been dealt with beyond the commemoration, the laying of wreaths and the remembrance of those who lost their lives in such a brutal manner?
Correct.
Beyond that commemoration, have the things been dealt with? Have they been actually put to bed?
Yes, from a legal perspective, I would say that nothing has been met. Although the government has been trying to show us that they are taking steps, for example, through the establishment or the empanelment to deal with the issues of those who are injured and those who died. But you see, for us in the legal sector, it's not about compensation, rather than what I would term as a responsibility. People taking responsibility for their actions. Because when you say you have compensated me with 3 million and I lost my son, as a father, as a mother, that does not in itself equate to accountability.
Okay.
We want to see people on the dock. We want to see people imprisoned. We want to see people face justice. Yes.
When you see those things, then does it now equate to that it has been handled? If a mother is crying still today or about the death of her child who was innocent in all of this, or somebody is still saying today that my son is missing, meanwhile, Morioki's mother is still crying to date. Since June 25th, she cannot find Morioki.
Yes.
Doesn't know. The last they saw of Morioki is when he was being put in a police vehicle on the 25th of June 2024.
Yes.
She's still crying to date. Are we saying that if they say that they've been able to trace Morioki from point A to point B and the person last seen with him then answers in court, does it take care of that issue?
No, it doesn't. You see, when it comes to the Kenyan law under Article 25, there's what we call the writ of habeas corpus. So, for example, Nduh, if you went missing today, God forbid, if you went missing today, it is the responsibility of state officers to find you and to bring you. So when a police officer comes to court and they say that they don't know where you are, that does not equate to accountability. At the end of the day, they're supposed to find you and tell us your whereabouts.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. From your perspective, Dr. have issues been dealt with?
I am of the opinion that they have not been dealt with because the whole agenda was to ensure that Article 55 of the Constitution is upheld by allowing the youth to access the relevant endowments that they're supposed to receive, the political, social, and economic participation, and worst of all, the harm that has been there. I think you saw a clip yesterday going viral of a gentleman who was in clutches, and the very best that he received was a thorough beating from the very people that are supposed to protect Kenyans from harm. So if you would ask me, we are not yet there. And I would put it across as a challenge. As a minister, this is not scriptural. This is not even in accordance with the laws of natural justice. So I feel we have not yet gotten there. Yet the Gen Z and the Kenyan fraternity at large was looking forward to celebrating the lives yesterday. I think we should have seen a national holiday. We should have seen the government coming in handy to provide a platform for ministers to say a prayer over these families as they get truly compensated. So we are not yet there. We are not yet there.
Well, building on what you said earlier, that you agree and also differ with an interpretation.
Yes.
That's the beauty of democracy.
Sure.
That both are true and can coexist at the same time.
Very true.
There are those who feel, no, people are just antagonistic. They don't like this president. Wanamuonea tu. You know, you call them the two-term.
Yes.
Brigade. And there are others who are very strong, who opine that, no, there is a change that needs to be realized. And it has to manifest now and in our lifetime. Because the cost of it not manifesting is too high for us to continue paying.
Sure.
So both camps are advancing their agenda. And yesterday, or the build-up of yesterday, we saw a lot of that coming out. I saw a group of youth coming up to say, no, people don't need to protest, continue, carry on with life. The president is working, the government is keen to serve the Kenyans. And then on the other front, you had people are saying, no, we need to show up, we need to commemorate, we need to call for more correction of the situation. So where is the divide? Because both of the two camps are still existing in this one country, same economic situation, and all the other social factors are playing out in both camps. But the opinion or the position is different. How do you differentiate that difference?
Okay, I hope I respond correctly. First off, the presidency is supposed to be a symbol of national unity.
Right.
That is basic history that we schooled. But again, on ground, things may be different. On the other hand, it is a democratic right for every Kenyan to have an entitled opinion of whatever kind. However, if we are realistic with ourselves, this is not even about one term or two term. This is about the goodwill of the Kenyan people. So if you would ask me, it is a matter of introspection. If we were to look at Kenya on a merit of where it has come from and where she is today, then we are not in a progressive trajectory. We are in a retrogression. And therefore, my take would be, we are not focusing on a sole human being here. We are focusing on a whole nation, over 30 million people. And I was intimating yesterday, and I wish to put that across, that the population of Kenya, out of the 100%, 80% is made up of young people. Have we been factored as young people? Have the young people been enabled, to work within what is needed for them to thrive? So if you would ask me, it's not about which side we are on, it's about the delivery of services, which are not a favor. they are endowments that we are entitled to as a nation. Yes.
So, Mary, how is it you're not seeing the advance, the progress that the president has made, that your fellow youth are also saying is manifesting is there?
Correct.
Well, how are you, not as a person, this is a proverbial question because the two camps, some are saying this is working, it is happening, others are saying it is not. Is it a question of right or wrong? Is it a question of misconception? Is it a question of alliance, political expediency? Is it a question of just because I'm a beneficiary of this regime, I have to speak for it?
Yes.
And then I have to step away from the rationale, from the reality that people are living through as Kenyans.
Yes. I would say that politicians, in their natural nature, they are very cunning and they will always twist issues. For example, even if it was not President Ruto in power today and it was another person, they would try and push a certain narrative. They would say, it is people from this region that are trying to fight me. Or rather, it is people from this class that are trying to fight me. Remember when he came to power on what we term as the poor versus the rich. There was the hustlers versus the dynasty. And politicians would always do that. And for them to escape what I would call accountability, they would always raise these classes and these issues. For me, I think they are failing on that. They are failing to address the issues that we are raising as the youth and as Kenyans. And they're trying to push this narrative as a way to blindfold whatever we are trying to tell them. So it's not an issue of this camp versus this camp. It's an issue of them failing and actually declining to see the issues as they are.
Wow. So then, I think that takes us to the question of, are we then ready to overlook, their theatrics of trying to divide, the greater number of the population, which is the youth?
Correct.
Are we ready to overlook their theatrics and see beyond the lies and the script and agree that, a good health system will be good for all of us.
Correct.
A good education system will be good for all of us.
Yes.
Subscribing to the constitutional provision is a requirement for all of us.
Yes.
And if only we did that, we're going to have a good country, whether in Marsabit, in Turkana, in Moyale, in Malindi, wherever you will be as a person. Yes. Are we able to see that and then start having a conversation like, even as we continue with the revolution of building a better nation, our convergence should be around ideas.
Correct.
Not tribal balkanization, not faith-based division.
Correct.
Or any other subdivision they try to have us subscribe to. Are we ready, as the young people, you said, they're the majority, to now start converging around ideas of the new country that we want to give birth to?
Well, that's a very nice one. Yes, we are ready. Because the change that we want to see will not come with the Gen Alphas. We, as the millennials and the Gen Zs, are to do this. Allow me to articulate this from the perspective of the church.
Right.
The church holds a highly and unique influential space in the public life. However, we have a creeping culture of political patronage. So if you would ask me with all honesty, for the church to regain its prophetic voice, we need to protect the pulpit, to delink it from political patronage. Why? Because if you read the gospel as recorded in Matthew chapter 21, verse 12 to 13, Jesus went into the temple, he swept the whole place, he drove out folks because the business that they were carrying out there was not in accordance with the scripture. There is nowhere in scripture, and this one I say without fear of doubt or contradiction, that allows intimidation, that allows economic mismanagement, that allows political thuggery. So, if the church is able to stand up firm so that every politician that comes in will be treated as an equal worshipper, they take the pew and they enjoy the service. If it is their financial offering, we don't announce the offering of every other Christian. If we start from there, then we protect the pulpit where the truth can be hammered, and the church is called for that. So if you would ask me, yes, we are ready. We just need to wake up and smell the coffee and to work together as an entity to ensure the efficacy that we want to see at the end of the day.
But as you come in, Mary, Proverbs 11:14 says, leaders succeed, or people get derailed because of lack of guidance, and those who succeed because of good counselors. We have seen in this great nation of ours, the moment there is a crisis, the first lot of people to visit State House is the clergy. They come and try to pacify. And then people get angry at the church, and they say, you are sellouts. You know. So what do you say to that?
Well, my intimation is this: the church cannot be put away from politics because it is the conscience of the society. However, people must differentiate the difference between the church guiding the state and some people who are inclined to the church benefiting from their works with the stakeholders. And if you would ask me, I am a minister. I have not been to State House. But if I was asked to go, I will comfortably go because it is the State House of the country of Kenya. However, my take on the same, my view after I have visited the place, should not be altered as a result of the same. So I only feel that we have been muted. We have been muted. And allow me to intimate something that the take that one person has, because they are a member of clergy, is not the take of every other member of clergy. Let me give a scenario. The body of Christ is made up of body parts. Every Christian is a body part. It's a part of the same body. When your finger is aching, it is not your entire body that should be blamed for because the finger is aching. In fact, I think we will now work within the preferments of Scripture. That if there is an organ of yourself which will derail you from making it to heaven, chop it off
and throw it into the fire.
Kindly.
So in this, if you could take that proverbial and then apply it to where we are today, that if you see that over and over again, there is a part of your governance and your social justice that is not working, that you should essentially cut it off and throw it into the fire. What is the representation of cutting it off? By going to the ballot and saying, because you know, when we go to the ballot, you don't vote in someone only, you also vote out someone. So is that what we are saying? If we have seen over and over again that this leopard has spots, it has had the same spots for the last I don't know how long, the likelihood of it changing its spots next year are slim to none. So is it time for you to say, leopard, spots, thank you, we need a zebra with stripes kind of thing?
Yes. In fact, we are looking at a total overhaul because we have been recycling politicians over and over again. And the moment we do that, we all know very well what happens and what transpires. It's all about personal interests. So we need now to have new faces, people who have not had any reasons for them to blackmail or be blackmailed. Because again, what happens in this business, and we read the Animal Farm, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And I'll give a scenario of what the poor and the rich go through to articulate this matter. When the poor are trying to climb up a rope to move and cross over to the other side, then the rich on the other side are really playing about with the rope to ensure that these people do not cross over. We now need to make our own bridge to ensure that the young, the visionary cross over and take leadership positions. And more so people with integrity, people who believe and fear the Lord. Because a man thinks, and the Bible says that what a man thinks of, then so is he. So if you're able to have a new mindset, that I don't have to be a boss as a politician anyway, because the electorate are the bosses. The moment we discover who we are through civic education, then we will manage to do that. But we need to say enough is enough and eject some folks out.
Mary, are people ready to do that? Because it seems as though, again, Joe talks about, the folks who could actually sway the decision are in the majority.
Sure.
And they're of voting age. I don't know how many people have actually gone and said, okay, let's activate this and take the document that requires you to vote. But then, are they of the realization that you can't expect the folks who have been part of the problem to be part of the solution? The Mr. Fix-It can't be the guy who was Mr. Spoil-It.
Yes, I think as a country we find ourselves in a very kind of critical situation, because somebody once said that the leaders we've elected are the reflection of who we are. So, for example, if I was to become the president of the Republic of Kenya today, then people wouldn't expect me, for example, to do anything different from what the current president is doing. We also need to be very careful, because there is that element of recycling leaders. For example, today we decide to vote out President Ruto, and we elect any of the ones in the opposition, of whom I would call the Kanu orphans, for lack of a better explanation. Then we would removing one problem and putting in another. What quote unquote people would like to call as we are electing a lesser evil. I think for us as a country and for us as young people, we need to be very, very, very careful in terms of whom we elect. We are not yet there, Nduh, but I believe we are getting there slowly by slowly.
When you say getting there, not aware of the kind of person who needs to come into, or not ready to put heads together to make a decision? I think as the youths, we are ready, but now you see, we have other classes of voters. We have the adults who are ahead of us, whom, as we speak of today, will still vote based on their tribal lines, based on their personal interest. So I think for us, it is not an issue of an event, but we are getting there. We are getting rid of them pole pole. We remove one after another. Okay.
Yes.
Sophie Mugure and Njeri is here this morning as well, and joins us in the situation. Sophie, good morning.
Good morning, Nduh.
How are you?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I'm late. I'm never late.
I know. So you don't know why you... Okay, tell us why you're late.
I don't know.
You don't know what happened?
I think my entire body system is reacting to the entire anxiety of the coming of yesterday. Because as a person at the front line, as a human rights defender, before yesterday, like I was anxious the entire 24th. There were all these threats about the goons. There was the entire feeling and the remembrance of the actual day, 2024. There is the feeling of the entire police system on us yesterday, the new machinery, the noise. I think it just does something to you.
It did something to you?
Yeah.
Well, one of the, a therapist of somebody somewhere once said that the first step towards all of this is then being able to have a conversation about it, and then we can see, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing this morning. So we're going to go to the top of the hour in just a minute, but just give us your synopsis first of all, because we're talking about how, where we are now. After yesterday, things were there was a commemoration, but things still seem to be the same. Two gentlemen have said that as far as they see it, the needle hasn't quite moved 2 years down the line. What do you think?
We're still seeing the suppression, because the government is aware that if we commemorate this day as we should, then it's their admission of their failure. It's them not wanting accountability of the fact that they actually killed more than 200 young people, and we haven't even talked about what they did in Githurai in 2024. And for the police to also go to Githurai and plainclothes police shooting in the air, I wonder what they're doing to that community, because it's the same thing they experienced in 2024. Nothing has changed. As a matter of fact, what we're seeing is the government prioritizing monies towards suppressing dissent. The sort of machinery that was on the street yesterday was appalling. Seeing the normalization of plainclothes policemen, seeing men in plainclothes carrying guns, seeing policemen in balaclavas. It was an entire scary episode. I was telling my friend, it feels like we're in a GTA or in those video games, man, because the sort of things these people have on. The Subarus that were there yesterday were so many. The cars without number plates, and the president just casually being at Bomas and looking at his grandiose projects and telling how there will be more projects using more money coming in. And what we were saying yesterday, not only were we commemorating, but it is a reminder to this government that we do not want them. We were protesting the price of fuel. We were protesting the opulence, the corruption, the finance bill in itself, because life is about to get harder. So we were exercising our duty. The same thing we did in 2024 is what we were doing yesterday, coming out to say no to bad governance. And we want the international community to understand that we are not violent. Yesterday there were no vandalisms. We actually, despite the selling of fear, it was actually a very peaceful, successful protest. But the guns were there.
You'll tell
around
us
Parliament. They were there.
You'll tell us what that looked like, and then how that all plays out against what we're talking about, whereby there must be progression. All right, we'll talk. We'll do the news, come back, and we'll continue with this conversation.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. The ICC has resumed continuous voter registration and rolled out a month-long enhanced continuous voter registration exercise in 5 electoral areas. In a Gazette notice, Chairperson Erastus Ethekon said the exercise will run from 25th June to 25th July. The targeted areas are Mbere North, Poro Ward in Samburu West, Nduh Ward in Marakwet East, Emurwa Dikir and Malava. The Commission said the exercise follows recent by-elections and the resolution of election petitions in Malava and Beren North. Eligible Kenyans aged 18 and above with valid identification will be able to register, transfer or update their voter details at designated centers including ICC offices, Huduma centers, constituency offices, selected learning institutions and the ICC Customer Experience Center in Nairobi. ICC added that voter registration will continue after the exercise under the normal program, while registration in Olkalau constituency will be suspended during the ongoing by-election. The National Assembly has approved the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2026, paving the way for the release of 428 billion shillings to 47 county governments for the 2026-2027 financial year. The bill, passed without amendments, provides the legal framework for transferring nationally raised revenue to counties to support service delivery. Its approval follows the enactment of the Division of Revenue Act 2026, which allocates 2.46 trillion shillings to the national government, 10.2 billion shillings to the Equalization Fund, and 428 billion shillings to counties. The allocation marks an increase of 13 billion shillings compared to the previous financial year. MPs said the additional funding will boost service delivery in areas including healthcare, roads, water, agriculture, and early childhood education. Of the allocation, 397.43 billion shillings will go towards baseline funding for county operations and development, while 4.46 billion shillings is earmarked for 12 marginalized counties under affirmative action. A further 36.1 billion shillings will be shared using a weighted formula based on population, poverty levels, income distance, and land size. County assemblies will also receive separate funding to strengthen oversight and accountability. The approval now allows counties to proceed with planning and implementation of development projects aimed at improving services and promoting local development. Kilifi Woman Representative Gertrude Mbeyu has condemned what she termed rising cases of homosexuality and lesbianism in secondary schools, particularly in boarding institutions. Speaking in Kilifi South constituency, Mbeyu linked recent school fires to what she described as growing hostility among students, saying it has contributed to dangerous behavior against their peers.
Mimi napenda kutetea mtoto wa kike sana, lakini kwa leo nizungumze mzazi, zungumza na mtoto wako. Shule zinazochomwa za mabweni saizi ni shule za watoto wasichana. Ni aibu, si aibu. Watoto wetu saizi ni wana simu. Ni nene ron si nene. Simu kushaza bei. What kind of a generation are we bringing up? Tabia mbaya za ushoga na usagaji zinatoka kwa simu, si tabia za jamii yetu. Wanazitoa kwa simu hizi zetu hizi. Na shule nyingi za wasichana ziko na hizo tabia. Zungumza na msichana wako, zungumza na mtoto wako mvulana, wanaharibika.
Her remarks were echoed by Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro, who urged parents to engage their children during the current school break and address emerging social issues while they are at home.
Wazazi, kwamba tushirikiane, tuchunge watoto wetu. Hii mambo ya kuchoma mashule na nini lazima ishe. Tunajua ni vigumu ukimpeleka mtoto kule shule, hujua anafanya nini. Lakini tuambie watoto kila wakitoka nyumbani, kwamba ukifika shule, jiepushe na watu ambao wana nia mbaya kama hiyo. Umeona wasichana wadogo sasa 9 wamewekwa jela kwa sababu walipatikana ndio walichoma wenzao. Na hutaki mtoto wako aende jela na huo umri. Kwa hivyo tuambie watoto wetu ili wakifika pale wasishawishiwe na watu ambao wana tabia mbovu ili wafanye mambo ambayo si mazuri.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
I'll continue with our conversations this morning, and at 8 minutes after 9 o'clock, it's my chance to remind you, powering you into the weekend with chloride Exide, that battery is what you need to then be able to take you from place to place. So the folks have been in the business for decades and understand that the kind of battery that you need to power your vehicle is a chloride Exide battery, and that you can also tell when it's time for you to get a new one. But the chances are of you needing to get a new one for the time that you have your vehicle is slim. And chloride Exide is saying that they've done the best that they can do in the market to ensure that you have quality and that you can control where it is that you're going, and all the factors, that are elements that are needed for you to move your vehicle are actually catered for with chloride Exide. So you can dial a battery today and it'll come right to you. They've even made it easier because you don't need to get somewhere to get the battery. You can actually have it brought right to you. And that is the chloride Exide story this Friday as you get into the end of the week, powering your weekend. Sawa sawa. Our conversations continue this hour, and we're doing a post-mortem. Thank you, Madly African. That's what I was looking for in terms of the word of what happened yesterday, and then moving forward to say, then where exactly is it? So even as we talk this morning and say, okay, fine, the commemoration took place yesterday, but we're still looking at a lot of issues that need to happen. But apparently, Sophie, there are things that took place that maybe contributes to your trauma, whereby you thought that you were in a particular position, protected by, supported by others. But in this move for a better Kenya, are the young people alone?
We're alone.
Why?
Sadly.
Why do you say that?
But it's not like we did not know we're alone. We've known we're alone for a long time. Because there are certain individuals who feel like when the status quo changes, the stubborn status quo, because it is particularly stubborn to the sense that they would masquerade as advancers of a cause. They're actually the ones who took the notice to the police. Some of us who mostly are at the front line of these things, we did not even know that the notice was being taken to the police. We saw it on the news. So we're like, okay, so you've decided to take the front row this time round. Well, let's see. So come the actual day, we're actually not beginning the protest. We're there, but we're not beginning the protest because we want you to lead. You've already shown that now you're advancing our cause. You are on the right side of history. Come the noise and the weird. Tokeni hapo. The wee. You're holding the hands of the mothers. You're walking with them. You leave them, get into your big cars, and you go. Then you call them again to a safer place to have a press conference. And I don't get it. Like, at the first sight of trouble, you run. We're already in trouble as a nation. We are borrowing. We have to deal with corrupt individuals. We have to deal with rogue police. Change is very hard. It's painful. It needs you to put yourself in an uncomfortable position. But the first time you're faced with an uncomfortable position, you run. But we, the young people, we did not run. We stayed there. We laid the flowers with the mothers at Parliament, where there were horses and dogs and weird-sounding cars. We beat that. We put the flowers. We sang our songs of freedom. We were able to hold the mother's hands in this hard moment. You know, there's a mom there who's never seen her child, Dennis, since 2024. And so we are hiding behind compensation, but she's never seen her child. So the sort of pain and the sort of trauma that was there in that moment was your moment to show us solidarity.
Yeah.
Was your moment to show us that, guys, we understand your pain, and we want to restore you by just being there for you. But the first night you run, and then you call us again for a press conference where it's safer for you. Now we have comrades arrested. We had comrades beaten. Even as women, we were beaten. We had goons unleashed on us. But we had tear gas. But we beat all that, and we were able to commemorate the day. But the clear show is, we have to admit that as young people, the 11 million of us currently on the voter register have to come together and advance a cause that is specifically geared towards posterity.
What does that cause look like that's geared towards posterity? Because if I hear you saying in plain terms here, is that those who are currently asking for the mantle of leadership, who were there yesterday, are actually not ready for a change like what Daktari is saying needs to happen. The entire animal needs to change is what he's saying. You can't have remnants of the past trying to forge for a change in the future. Because if the representative was there yesterday showing you a particular thing, does that mean that they're showing you what they will do tomorrow?
Absolutely. And what they will do tomorrow, to me, looks like this. James Orengo has ever worked with William Ruto before in the same cabinet. These people, Eugene, Kalonzo, Rigathi, they have all, one way or another, been in a position of government where they have had to work with William Ruto. So, if at all any of them actually managed to get enough votes to get William Ruto out, William Ruto is a seasoned politician. He is young in the political world. He's not going to go away easy. He will employ Raila's tactics. He will give you a difficult time because he has stolen enough money. He has the resources to give you a difficult time. When he gives you a difficult time, he will call William Ruto to the table, any of those people, to have a conversation that ends sounding like, we're doing this for the country. It's for the bigger cause. It's for the peace of the nation. We cannot afford anarchy, so we have to work together. What does that mean for the young people? You're still left out. So this change looks like all of you, and I like what he has said because it's like he's read my mind, all KANU orphans have to go home. We need a new crop of leadership in place that is advancing a different cause.
Tara, do you see that the slate needs to be wiped clean if the kind of, if the kind of governance and leadership that is required to deal with these issues, because we're going to go back to that, the core issues, the status quo, these issues that we say are still remnants from what was finally brought out, that when we saw the Gen Z protest, those in an older generation said, actually, yes, this is what we've been trying to say, but now this generation of people are so emboldened that they can say and act what is on our mind. So these are issues that people want to come to the fore, but they didn't really know how to deal with them. Now they've been given an opportunity. They've been given a show, or rather an example of how this can actually be done. So in order to have that done, do you actually then need to wipe the slate clean? Or can you work with some people who now may change their mind and say, actually, yes, we see that this can work? Sophie shaking her head vehemently.
Well, she is doing so because she's in concurrent with all of us, that if we need change, then we need to change the arena, we need to change the tactics, we need to change the players of the game. In a football match, we have people who are on the outside of the field, but some of them are not watching, they're not spectating. Some of them are waiting for their turn to get into the field and do exactly what the previous players or their counterparts were doing. So if you would ask me, in a very honest opinion, in the recommendation of Psalms 133 verse 1, it is very pleasant for us as Kenyans now to agree, to come together, regardless of our diversifying factors. And these rogue politicians ride on our differences, on matters ethnicity, on matters political affiliations, on matters so many diversifying factors. If we've just forgot about that and worked together and raised up leaders, then I think, yes, we can do that and we need to do it. And we should be at the forefront of doing the same, because we do not have a lot of time to dilly-dally. We need to ensure, first of all, that tuko kadi, because that is the very first initiative. As we pray, let us ensure that those eligible have the voters' cards, and then together we agree. We just have to agree to put in the right people, not on merit of our friendship or affiliations with and to them, but on merit of service delivery.
Well, Wakili.
Yes.
We find ourselves in a situation whereby we are saying we need change. And change we must have. And the only way to manifest that change is to participate actively in discourse that advance that cause. However, the world over, if you look around, you realize any successful revolution or any long-lasting change that has held and withstood the test of time is the one that was owned by the people. Where the people of any nation you pick, you can go to Cuba, they survived with sanctions for many years, because the people agree that this is our fate and we are not going to bow down. Go to the French, go to South Africa and many other countries across the world, you realize where the people own a revolution, they succeed. There is no regime that has ever won against the people. But today, what I'm hearing you guys say is that we are at some danger of some people masquerading as the leaders of this revolution. And perhaps that could be what is beginning to water down the revolution. 2024 was leaderless, tribeless.
Correct.
It was the most successful movement we've had in this country since the birth of our nation. But since then, in the last 2 years, we have seen people masquerade in different forms and shapes and manners, saying that the Gen Zs, we are going to show you. The Gen Zs, we are going to lead you. The Gen Zs will show up with you, and then, they take off in the first instant of danger and threat. How do we maintain the legitimacy of the revolution, of the movement, of the demand for good governance and progressive leadership and proper economic management, and get rid of these KANU remnants or masquerading leaders who are attempting to compromise the authenticity Because if we do, I see the danger that we may get to the 55th week from now. We're only 55 weeks away from the ballot. Be informed. If we don't start changing tact now as a nation, the same people might end up on the ballot.
Can I add something?
Let's see our Wakili. Then
no, I want to ask him so that I hear his mind.
Okay.
Like, did you see the point of them coming out? Like, what was the entire from your own perspective as a young person?
Yeah.
Yes. So, yesterday I was reading a post from Rigathi Gachagua, and he was calling us his sons and daughters. And I took out my ID and I didn't see any Rigathi name on my ID.
Right.
These are people who want to take advantage of the movement. They know the kind of power that the young people have. I think as a young generation, we need to be very, very careful. Of course, we are saying we are leaderless, we are tribeless, but at the end of the day, we need to have a strategy. We can't work with that thinking that we are leaderless, because at the end of the day, what would happen is the elections are coming. We want to see many of the young people coming up to take this post. But in the event we keep on saying we are leaderless, we are tribeless, it becomes an issue. Because you see, at the end of the day, when you want to win a game, you must have strategy. And for you to have strategy, you must have team players. So we've already seen there's the Ruto side and there's the Rigathi side. They have already shown us that they are coming for this thing. So why don't we as young people also come up with a group of leaders, with a crop of leaders? Because at the end of the day, if we do not plan ourselves, then we are planning to fail. Yes.
So is it time? I was short of calling you bishop, but it's fine. Minister, is it time that now people start scouting for their own candidates, where people will begin to say, in my county, we want the minister to be our candidate, the people's candidate. As a nation, as we go to the ballot, because the buck stops with the president, we begin to agree that we must have a people's candidate, so that this shenanigan of a 2-horse race, 1-horse race, and 3 donkeys, and other donkeys comes to an end. Once and for all, we say, we the people, based on the issues that we want addressed, and we agree is the matters to do with our economy, is the baseline, the foundational element, this is the person we are beginning to endorse as our people's candidate. Should that be the direction?
Yes, it should. Because our failure to have a made-up mind will be a very easy way of ensuring that the enemy has a way of creeping back into power. And this is the strategy. It's the divide and rule. We need to look at the dichotomy of control. Let us know what is within our control and how we would work on the same by raising our very own people. And this comes clearly. If anyone is interested in any position and they qualify for the same and they have the right agenda and we can support them, let's give it a try. Why not? There's a particular portion of scripture where the people of God said, if we stay here, we will die. If we still go, we will die. Let us go and pursue whatever is ahead of us, so that we will not be judged harshly by history and be told, you know what, you guys were just watching it as it still went bad. We look at our grandfathers and ask, where were they when other grandfathers of their time were buying a lot of land, amassing a lot of wealth? Where were they? We think they were in the discourse? No, they were relaxing somewhere, waiting for a miracle to happen. We must be the change that we want to see today.
So, Sophie, you look at the voice of dissent. It's being well suppressed, or rather the effort to suppress it are very, they're not giving up. They're even beginning to come after the media houses. But there is no alternative. People must keep having these conversations locally, loudly, so that we build up a momentum and agree that it's nothing personal. I don't think anybody hates William Ruto for the person that he is. People have issues with him. We were saying this earlier because of the office that he holds. If today he resigns, I don't think tomorrow he'll bother with what he's doing with his life. And that applies to all the governors, MPs, anybody else who is in an elective or a public service position. So the voice of dissent is good because it is reawakening the soul of the country. I think one thing I'm grateful for about this regime, and what thing they have succeeded in doing, is offering free civic education Now everybody is woke about the constitution, about our rights, everything that needs to happen. But how do we begin to convert this civic education, this wokeness, these voices that are being branded as voice of dissent into action?
First of all, it is reading the political class and the old guards of our attention, because that is what they feed off from. We give them platforms to lie to us, we give them platforms to manipulate us. Because why exactly were they coming yesterday? You should have just stayed home. You came and you embarrassed yourself and you showed us who you really are. So it would be fast for us to say, hey, wait a minute, what's our worth as the citizens? Who are we in this entire governance system? Who actually has the power? And the sad part is we keep getting distracted as a people, and the people in power assume that they give themselves this power. Because we had gone for a meeting on 24th, yeah. And one of the directors of the police force was there, and she said something very concerning, that in the next general electioneering period, because we were having a conversation around violence, sexual-based violence on women around the electioneering period, and she said, as the police, we're taking serious measures. So during this election period, you will be in a crowd, you're 10 people, you're having a discussion, but 1 or 2 of you are policemen. And I asked myself, what do you mean? So you have infiltrated the citizenry so much that amongst us, we don't even know who are police and who are not. It is important to note the NIS does not have a database of who works for them. The NIS does not even have an oversight board on who actually oversights the NIS. So what we are seeing now, a whole president tweeting about a media house, because a media house keeps showing the public that, hey, we're being played. We're pawns in a chess game. Hey, wake up. You're sleeping too much. They're playing with your minds. And he doesn't want that. Yesterday, media people were being tear gassed. They were being bitten. One was seen actually being stepped on their private parts by a policeman. What are they trying to show? That the fourth estate, the one that actually is the fourth in the governance system and deserves its freedom, guaranteed by the Constitution, is actually being suppressed. You're coming for social media, you're coming for traditional media. Who are we left with? So my question is, what does this government presume of the citizenry? Do they think we are fools? Do they think we did not go to school? Do they think we cannot see how they're manipulating the Constitution using supplementary budgets and use of Article 223 to rob us using supplementary budgets? They don't think we are seeing how they're taxing, like as a company, if you have money in your account, they're calling it unclaimed profits. Apparently, if you do not give it out as dividends, they're calling it unclaimed profits. Do you know what they're going to do using that? If you're an individual, you're interested in a political campaign, or you're interested in finding a political coalition, they will come for your money and tax it, or actually come and tell you that you have a tax case, because this has been passed, that once you're caught with, rather, you're accused of having a tax case, they will hold your money until the case is closed. Nduh, this government does not do anything by mistake. They're always 2 steps ahead of us. When did they buy these cars that were producing the weird noises? But there was the cyber security on date 23. There was the communication from Parliament that they have approved a cyber security center to be built in Kenya. And last month we saw Murkomen and DIG Lagat in New York being taught how the Americans are doing surveillance. But I'm asking myself, you want to surveil us like a first world country, but you do not want to give us a police system similar to that of the first world countries. The police in those first world countries work with body cams. They never close their faces. They're never police in plain clothes. The police have badges with their names on them. So you want to surveil us like a first world country, but you do not want to give us the protection and the observance of the rule of law like a first world country. We are breeding anarchy. What happens when the citizens actually decide that enough is enough?
And it hasn't gotten to
Romania
that point.
is an example of when their government decided that, hey, this guy, Ceausescu, it's enough, because what Ceausescu was doing is he was pleasing IMF by overtaxing the people. He had such a huge ballooning public debt, and when he got the money, he chose to build a grandiose project. He built them such a big parliament, it's actually the biggest in the entire world. Using that money, the cost of living went so high. You know, it was so bad, there was a reduction of the amount of meat the economy could produce because people were not consuming meat. They were not consuming bread because you have to cut down on the cost, on how much you're using to meet your basic needs. It took 9 days. They overthrew the government. The military supported the people. The police supported the people. The guy was given a conviction in 1 day and he was executed in public. What does William Ruto assume the citizens are going to do when they actually decide that enough is enough? We can see through exactly what you're doing, and now we're not going to take it anymore. What
it would
makes
appear
him
as
think we will wait the 55 weeks?
It appears, though, that from what you're saying then, Sophie, that Kenyans have not decided enough is enough.
We have not.
So then that means you're still okay with it, kind of.
We are participators in a game of chess. The United Alternative Opposition wants to take advantage of the fact that we are confused, that our poverty is weaponized so bad that we cannot participate in political processes, in our civic duty. But one day, you see the people who are saying at the protests spoil their businesses. Have they read the finance bill and the budget proposals for the next financial year? Your businesses are going to be spoiled. You will close down. You will not be able to keep the livelihoods that you have had. You know, I hate the fact, and I will finish by saying this, that William Ruto assumes we do not know a life before him.
Well, and I think that's a good note to take it on a different note. What will be our livelihood? How will our lives look like post William Ruto? Because the must-go call can legitimately be actualized on the 10th of August.
The ballot, yes.
We can decide not to wait before then, but what kind of a country are we going to create, you know? So there are changes we want to manifest, and for them to outlive us, so that the generations that will come after us benefit like the way we benefit from the sacrifices that were offered or made by the freedom fighters during the first liberation and also the second liberation. That's why we are here, you know, this media freedom. We can have a discourse, a conversation, agree and disagree at the same time. They paid their price. So right now, people said, I think from around last year, that the revolution will be actualized through the ballot. Because remember, after the June 2024, people are saying, no, this is an attempted coup. Again, people masquerading to be leaders. They were perceived to be the one who wanted to take over the government through the back door. And then, no, actually the Gen Zs were too loud. They said, no, we wanted the president and the deputy to be Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga. The impeachment should not have been for one person, should have been for both. But then the one who was successfully impeached comes out and starts saying, I'm the leader of you people. I'll show you how to clean. I'm the better option. And there is a divergent opinion out there, divergent opinions about that. My question is, Ruto goes on 10th of August. On 11th of August, we still be having the odious deaths. We'll still be having all the crisis that is existing. So if we don't have a plan and a strategy on how to reclaim our nation and rebuild the country, the suffering will continue. It only take a very, it will even get worse. So what should be our solution? We know the problem. We understand it. I mean, everybody can explain it in their own version. And it's clear to everybody. So what should be our strategic approaches towards our defined solution? And what is that solution? What is that country that we want to see, to give birth to? on the ballot on the 8th of August next year?
Yes, I think I would want to go first. I think as we look for leaders, we need to look for people who would want the institutions that are established under the constitutions to work independently. For example, when you look at the constitution, it says that the National Police Service shall be an independent institution. But we don't see that. And the reason as to why we don't see that independence is because of the people at the executive level. We are also told that the Independent Policing and Oversight Authority, IPOA, should be independent. Because of even the word independent is there. But do we see that? We haven't seen that. Since 2024, when we lost over 60 of our colleagues, yes, only 2 cases have made it to court. None of the other cases have made it to court. We are being told that files were forwarded to the ODPP. Again, another independent institution, but no action has been taken. So apart from the case of Rex Masai, the inquest that is ongoing, none, and I repeat, none of the police officers has been arrested, none has been presented before a court of law. So I think as a country, we need to look at the person that we want to elect, because the goodwill must come from the executive, as we have learned so far. So we need a person who has shown us that he's able to respect the rule of law. For example, I sympathize with people who say that the former interior minister, with a lot of tremendous respect to him, is a good option as we move forward as a president. And remember, when he was the minister for interior, we lost so many people. Between 2017 and 2022, we lost so many people. He's therefore not an alternative. So we need to look at our people in terms of who are they, in terms of rule of law, what is their history, what are they willing to do in terms of this independent institution. That way we'll be able to move away forward.
Right.
Let's take a break on that just really quickly, if you'd like to hold on to that, Dr. Because then we can come back and say, okay, well, it's looking like it's shaping up something in our minds. But unfortunately, we're at the place whereby we say there's confusion, there's disuniformity, and at the same time, not really sure then who will carry the mantle. Are there enough people who are presenting themselves as an alternative? That's another thing. And we're looking to combine that with your action, rather with your answer when we come back from this. It's 23 minutes to 10 o'clock. Our youth perspective conversation continues in just a bit. And then we'll be asking, so who's putting themselves up? I know Sophie is. Who else is? We'll come back and talk in a bit.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic update brought to you by Chloride Oxide.
All right, looks like it was that busy Friday. I know not a lot happened yesterday, so probably we see a lot more people getting into the city this morning trying to do what they can do before the weekend comes in. There's still traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Coming into the CBD, Kirinyaga Road is busy, and then getting towards the Globe Cinema roundabout, there's traffic that heads then to Moy Avenue. Coming off of Raila Odinga Way, crossing over with Ngong Road, there is still some traffic there just at your junctions. But into the CBD seems where everybody's heading this morning. And then coming off Naivasha Road, connecting with Ngong Road and also Riama Road, you'll find a little bit of traffic here and there, but you can navigate through this without much of a headache. So that's a good thing. Let's see how the day progresses. Let's talk through it. SpiceFM KE on X.
Traffic update was brought to you by Chloride Oxide. Wherever the road takes you these days, stay powered by Chloride Oxide. Get total peace of mind on the highway with the premium Exide battery range backed by a rock-solid 18-month manufacturer's warranty. Chloride Oxide. Inside from Chloride Oxide.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
And our conversation continues, and I guess coming in with you, Dr. is that, so there seem to be stacked up factors as to why this now may be difficult. That if we say, I've heard it so many times in the last 1 year, drain, not even 1 year, it's been forever, drain the swamp. Anybody who was involved in any of this cannot come back. Everybody, status quo, legacy politicians, they cannot be involved in this. But then do we have an adequate number of individuals who are putting themselves up for those positions to say, I am the option, I am the alternative? And if you don't, we might be hit, or Kenyans might be hit with a sad reality that some of those people that you're saying should not be there will be there if there's no alternative.
Well, allow me to respond first by appreciating the fact that the recommendations of 1 Samuel chapter 8 are not a narrative but a reality. When the Israelites told God they needed a leader, God gave them whoever they wanted, but he put it across very well that there were consequences of the same. So it is very good to be honest with ourselves that we are in the mess we are in as a nation because first off, our personal lives, our personal takes are wanting. And yes, we have people who level up to ensuring that they will stand or they will vie for these positions, and we will support them. However, if we ourselves do not address our personalities, if we ourselves do not address our ways of handling things at our own local levels, in my dialect, we have a philosophical and proverbial saying that says, Gemi shumagana mushie, that goodness comes from home. So if I do not begin at home, I should not expect a good vibe wherever I go to work, wherever I interact with people. And if we borrow wisdom from philosophy, stoicism is something we would really embrace because it focuses on the well-being of a person to ensure that they cultivate inner resilience and moral excellence. And there are the virtues that are there. Of course, virtue is the only true good in stoicism. And it works on 4 cardinals: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. If we ourselves are able to resolve the issues within ourselves, God, in his own majesty, just as Micah 6:8 recommends, that God has shown us our good on what is good. And what does he require of us? To act just, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before the Lord. If we do that, then he will give us revelations. This is the person, and we will now, having prepared for the same, move into the future. Because yes, Kenya is not going to ruins. Kenya must rise for the general good and for the glorification of the word of God.
How do you identify who the right person is? And if what you're saying then is the process through towards identification for the right person, there are people who, like I said, the statement has been over the last years, drain the swamp. Get rid of these. You cannot. The only way you can do that is at the vote, is at the ballot. But in the process of removing somebody, you have to put someone in. And I often say that if you go for a buffet lunch, guess what? You will serve what is on the buffet.
Sure.
Unless if you want where you can pick and choose, you can't be there. So what you put up for selection, I'm sorry, but that is what you're going to have to choose from. So what process do you get to say that let everything that is possible to be on the offering be on the offering if people don't put themselves up for leadership?
Allow me to build onto what I have intimated. In the recommendations of Psalm 119 verse 5, the word of God says, your lamp is a light unto my is a lamp for my feet and a light unto my path. Life is spiritual, very spiritual. And the commencement of everything is how we connect with the higher authority, which is the Spirit. And we have 2 spirits. We have the Holy Spirit and we have the evil spirit. Those of us that are Christians and inclined to the faith that comes from and through Jesus Christ, then if we ourselves work on our spirituality, God gives revelations. And I want to tell you this without fear of doubt or contradiction, that whatever is revealed of God does not have confusion. The spirit of confusion does not come from God. It comes from the devil. If I am living well with my spouse, if I am doing justice to the people who are under me, the people who are looking up to me, through the guidance of the word, I will not miss the mark. Secondly, the word does not recommend us to be delusional. So we need to be very critical at this point. How will we do that? Very simple. After having revelations, we will now focus on looking at the people that present themselves. And we should also propose to the people that we feel are equally capable of holding these positions to take up the same roles, because God brings his call through various aspects, through visions, through dreams, and also more so through his people. So we should be prophets in our own capacities by telling these people, you know what, we see you are capable of this. We want to have you vie for this position. And we should support them.
Insist that they go. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm struggling, Minister. I'm struggling. Because the outgoing president, William Ruto, came in through the church. His major campaign platform was the church. And the clergy, and this is a collective, told us the voice of God, I don't know the voice of the people, has spoken, and this is the man that God has chosen for the nation. So did they miscommunicate with the God? Because when I look at the servitude of this character, the person, the president, it is very wanting. It is close to evil doings, you know, unlike what the prophecy then ought to have revealed to us. So that is my struggle. And I'm asking this because moving forward, I'm okay with us identifying problems. But if we stick there, then we still become part of the problem. So we must also start realizing attempts to develop solutions. Today, whoever is campaigning, like Sophie here, for an elective position, the church expects her or them, aspirants, to show up. Come with money. You become now a guest of honor, I'm sure. And all the aspirants will agree. You go out and ask them. They are receiving invites to churches every Sunday from today until the day they don't make it through the nominations, or until the day they get voted on August of next year. And what does the church want? Money. We have more churches today in this country and mosques. There is no exemption of religion. But we have more places of worship today, I think, than clubs and wines and spirits and restaurants. But if we look at the moral decadence of those who are in power and they frequent churches and they're called honorable members and they appear in those places of worship, that's my struggle, Minister. And the question is not specifically to you, it is to all of us. Like, how do we reconcile, if we are all struggling with that reality, reconciling these fallacies? How do we sanitize and clean that up so that going forward, religion sticks to its place? If we must have it, that's another conversation to continue having. And then politics, which is in the industry of us organizing our collective society and managing our dynamics, including economics and everything else, also has its place. And then we have the right people assuming the right positions. So at some point we can say, if you have chosen to be in the religion field, stick to that. But when you come to politics, do not infiltrate now the religious values into politics, because that is what corrupts. Wakili.
Generations from generation,
right,
have not been able to separate religion from politics. It's very much impossible to separate leadership and religion. And this is why, because Christians go to church because they want hope. There is hope in the church. When you go to church and you're told by your pastor and by your minister that this is what the word of the Lord says, and you listen to it and you introspect it, you become quote unquote indoctrinated, yes? And my perception would be we need to pray as a country on the type of leadership that we want. Because remember, at the end of the day, as I've said, you cannot separate religion from leadership. It's very much impossible. So we need to pray.
We need to pray.
Terms of the
again, we need to fall back on the same religion you're trying to walk out
without necessarily listening to the voices of our pastors or anything. We need to pray as a person. And you say that the Lord has told me, and rather the Lord has intimated to me to vote for Sophie.
Yes. So
what
now,
happened?
Sophie,
Okay, Sophie.
as you
So what happened? Okay, I get that.
Yes.
But what happens to this thing where we are saying, can you look at somebody's track record? Because for me, if you have someone who can actually do a job right, it doesn't matter if they are 25 years old or 75. If they can do the job right. If they are somebody whose actions are laced with integrity, that they're able to take authority and deal with certain matters and say we're going to get the job done, it shouldn't matter. So what happened to looking at somebody's track record? Because if you're not looking, if somebody, everybody has a track record. Even if somebody started doing something today, by 4 o'clock, there's a track record of how they handle those things from the morning until 4 o'clock. You have a track record. Somebody could not come and tell me that somebody has not been a politician for 20 years, that they don't know, that there's something you did somewhere for which the track record exists. So what happened to looking at that and saying, okay, well, I'm going to study this individual and say, this person is asking to be the MCA, or rather, to be women rep in Thika, right? How do I say and look and say, okay, may God reveal to me that this person, I get what you're saying, I get it, but that may God reveal to me that this person, while that has its space, what happened to saying, how does this person actually handle a situation? How does this person handle work? How does this person handle money? Are we still looking at that?
I think it crops from, we are not first of all willing to look within ourselves. Because I finish eating something, I've bought a sweet, I open, what do? I
throw it out the window.
Thank you. Because somebody else is going to pick it up, right? But if you look at the state of our environment today, flooding is happening because we are throwing litter everywhere. I don't want to look at this 25-year-old in that manner, because I don't want to come back to myself and say, I've left my border there for 20 minutes or 1 hour. I've spoken to a minister here for 1 hour. He tells me his ideology. Sophie amekuja ameanza kukwambia the way Thika should be, should look for 1 hour. You don't want to give up that 1 hour to the betterment of yourself. Una expect bado Sophie utamwambia hii 1 hour nimekaa hapa ningekuwa nimemake 500 chota. You don't want to look within. So that's our biggest problem as Kenyans. So our lack of wanting to correct ourselves is what is making us not look at these leaders from the same point of what is it exactly that you can do for me. We elected an ICC suspects. Kenya has been led for 15 years by ICC suspects because Kenyans were not willing to look within and say, hiya, we were incited one tribe to another, we went against each other, we killed 1,100 people in less than 2 months, and we did not want to sit down and have that conversation with ourselves. So we were like, they came to us and they said, when they sit together as a Kale and a Kikuyu, they are showing the unity of the two communities, and now we are back together and we will never fight again. But they have plundered us into debt, into institutionalized corruption, into the brutality and the lack of respect for the right of life, because we showed them, hiya, you can kill us and lead us. So now we are showing them, you can continue to kill us and erase the memory of killing us and pay us, and still we will be willing to sit down and listen to you the way you deserve another term, because you've built Bomas and Talanta Stadium and Rironi Mau Summit, and the lives of the 200 people who probably did not have children. So they don't have a generation that comes after them. They're gone. So Nduh, the solution is for us as a people to sit and introspect and accept. You see, the erase of memory is the erase of our possibility of freedom. So we sit and understand, since we got independence, Kenya has always been a corrupt country. Where can we solve this? We start by saying no to Jirongo 500s, because he's the one who introduced the handout thing. We start by saying, no, I can actually listen to Minister or Wakili here without asking them for money and give them a chance. Probably they can actually work for us. Because right now what we're seeing in our communities, bulldozers, the development has started coming. So we will be distracted. We will be having William Ruto tweet about media houses to allow us to forget the fact that he passed the finance bill and that we are commemorating people to die. They will be all over our faces. But once we have ideological clarity and decide as political parties, as government, as people going in the political arena, we will fight on ideologies and not on our tribes and not on how old you are, but what exactly do you stand for? Because we have old people who are also progressive. So it is not a matter of age, it is a matter of what do we stand for. Then we will be able to birth a new nation.
Minister, maybe if you allow me to
For sure, he needs a chance.
Yes, I sincerely need a chance. The recommendations of 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33 articulates that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace to all the saints in the churches. When we speak about getting revelations from God, we need to understand that not from a point of carnality, but from a spiritual perspective. Because not all things God gives you as they are. Some things God wants to give you the power for you to use your brains to value the processes and to demystify things as they are. However, I also need to intimate this. The church as a corporate, the church as the body of Christ does not and cannot be sustained by politicians. We may have them on board because they are also human and they are part of the body of Christ. And that is why I began by intimating that the pulpit must be kept away from political sabotages and what have you, so that we will minister from a point of power, not from a point of intimidation. Secondly, the church has been under attack since time immemorial. When the disciples of Christ were busy going about their businesses, and on this particular day the Holy Spirit descended on them, the people there are saying they are mad. These guys are crazy because they were speaking in tongues, because they couldn't understand how God works. I think it is of utmost wisdom for us as believers and affiliators of any faith that we belong to seek our strength from the higher realm, and then we use our mandate. Because, to be sincere, there is no way God will vote for me.
Yeah, what do you think? I wanted to ask you that question.
There is no way God will vote for me.
What do you think when people say God is not a registered voter?
God is a registered voter through me and you, because he has given me power. He has given me revelation to understand that I'm a dual citizen. In what sense? I must exercise my power within my Kenyan law as a person to do the voting, to do everything that is just and that is viable. Spiritually, I am also a kingdom partaker, and therefore I should also work within the preferments of the kingdom. So we must demystify these things. When we talk about God, God does not order confusion. He gives us a directive. If you read again in Genesis chapter number 2, the Lord God gave unto Adam 2 responsibilities, 2 prerogatives. The first one was to take care of Eden, and the second one was to till it, to work on it. No wonder the word says, if you do not work, you should not even eat, so that you die.
So, ultimately, the responsibility lies with we, the people.
Precisely.
Because even after God has communicated to us, however, in whatever form or manner, there is that provision from that higher realm for us as a people to come out and realize or actualize the decisions that we make. And then we need to realize the choices have consequences. So I think that is the gap we need to fill. I don't know how, but I think these are conversations we need to continue having. Today people are referring to Sophie as Mheshimiwa when she shows up, because she has interest of servitude. Can that not be made expensive for people to step up?
For sure.
Can we also agree that experience is not competence?
Yes.
You know, you have these old folks showing up and saying, I've been around the block. Experience is not competence. So we start to be very articulate on analyzing that despite your age, what we are looking for is this criteria and caliber of qualifications for you to assume this office.
And we need such platforms like this one.
Such platforms, most welcome. And
yes, so solidarity with this media house that they got nothing on you. Keep doing you guys.
Very true.
Right.
So, I mean, looking at the way the conversation is going, I mean, just looking at some comments that, you know, folks are making, that there seems to be a realization that there needs to be a lot of introspection and that you can apply what entire nations have done and have gone insular in their thinking. The same thing needs to happen with individuals, that you must introspect and say what it is that you actually want. That you cannot always be say, okay, we are moving like molecules. Let's go boil the water. But can you actually say what is actually going to be good for the nation, and can we make a decision about it? Don't just go any way the wind blows, but say, can we then be involved? Leave out your democracy in fear and trembling kind of thing. Can we actually be in that state? And this is why conversations like this are important, to actually spark that thing that says, okay, guys, wake up to the reality of where we are. The time is coming in 55 weeks.
Yes.
Where that decision must be made.
Yes.
And then how will you then be involved in your future?
For sure.
Thank you very much for joining us and for wrapping up this last Friday of the week June in the Situation Room. Dr. Dionysius Ngegi is a theologian, leader and youth leader, lawyer and youth leader. Mary Julius, advocate of the High Court, and Sophie Mugure Njeri, National Youth League Chair, PM Party. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Asante sana for pushing this conversation. Thank you for listening to the Situation Room. Yolanda Mulo is in with Spice, Sugar and Spice. She comes in at 11 o'clock. You want to be around for this conversation. Thank you for keeping it SpiceFM. We will talk again on Monday, God willing. Have a good weekend. It's 10 a.m.
The latest news.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Timbur. 8 students from Otumishi Girls Academy are expected to appear before the Kibera law courts to face 16 counts of murder over the dormitory fire that killed 16 school girls. The suspects are accused of involvement in the blaze that destroyed a school dormitory and a Gilgil-based institution. The case was transferred from Naivasha to Nairobi over safety concerns and fears that public hostility could interfere with proceedings. Initially, 9 students were arrested, but the ODPP later withdrew charges against one after investigation cleared her of involvement. Naivasha Chief Magistrate Abdul Kadir Ramadan ordered her release and handed her over to her parents. The remaining 8 will now take plea as the case begins at the Kibera court. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has summoned Housing CS Alice Wahome and PS Charles Hinga to appear before Parliament on 2nd July over delays in affordable housing projects and the use of housing levy funds. The move follows concerns from MPs over slow progress in projects launched across constituencies despite continued deduction from workers. Lawmakers said the delays have raised public concern over the utilization of bills collected through the levy, with some questioning the implementation of the flagship affordable housing program. Some MPs pointed to possible administrative challenges within the housing ministry, even as President William Ruto continues to champion the initiative nationwide. Speaker Wetangula has directed the 2 officials to explain the status of the projects, how the funds have been used, and what measures are being taken to speed up implementation. Human rights activists in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County are calling on security agencies to take firm action against groups of hired goons accused of disrupting public meetings and intimidating political leaders who oppose their sponsors. Led by Kimutai Kirui, the activists said those financing the goons should also be held accountable.
Most of these goons work hand in hand with the police, and they are recruited and funded by known politicians. Misoi was attacked in Eldoret, is still sick, is yet to recover, and the people are known. Nothing so far has happened. We've had other issues around goods, and we know where the problem is. The government knows where the problem is. The police in Uasin Gishu know where the problem is. But because the leaders who are at the center are close to power, nobody cares to touch them. We saw in Marakwet West, where the area MP Wakili Timothy Kipchumba was ejected out of his own constituency in an empowerment program. If this thing surely is about empowerment, why can't we allow each and every other leader to attend and give the little that he or she has?
Police in Suba South Sub-County, Homa Bay County, have recovered 5 cows that were stolen about a week ago. The livestock were taken from Kasingri area in Suba Central, sparking anger among residents who later torched 3 houses in Nyamadede village in Suba South after suspecting locals were involved in the theft. Police say the animals were recovered in Nyamadede village, where they have been under the guard of 2 men. Suba South Sub-County Police Commander Caxton Ndunda said the 2 suspects are being held held at Magunga Police Station, and the recovered cows have also been taken to the station pending identification by their owners.
Ng'ombe zilibiwa katika Njeri, ng'ombe 5. Alafu zikapatikana hapa area ya Ngwazi East, mahali ndio Madende. Nilipatikana na mtu mmoja, akataja mwingine yule alimuuzia, sijui kumuuzia ama alimpatia. Sasa wa polisi wakaenda kwa hiyo mtu akashika watu wawili, ng'ombe ziko hapa na hao watu pia wako hapa. Ningewaambia waje tabia kama hiyo.
And the government has released 4.2 billion shillings in scholarships to public universities to support more than 400,000 continuing undergraduate students under the student-centered funding model. The university's fund says the latest disbursements bring total allocations for the 2025-2026 financial year to 18.4 billion shillings, covering tuition for students admitted in 2023, 2024 and 2025. The funding comes ahead of the opening of the Higher Education Financing Portal for the 2025 KCC cohort, where new university students will apply for scholarships and help loans. Universities Fund Acting CEO Dr. Edwin Wanyonyi said the program is aimed at expanding access to higher education and easing the financial burden on families, urging COPs place students to apply once the portal opens. And that's the news where I'm Sheila Tembur.
Good music is timeless. Spice.